All right, there we go. Welcome to the July 11th, 2023, 6:30 p.m. City Council meeting. We do have a quorum, so I'll call this meeting to order. Would you please join me in a moment of silence? And the pledge to the flag. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. City Clerk, would you please read the rules to speak?
Yes, sir. Individuals wishing to speak on agenda items must complete a sign-up card prior to the item being introduced. Those wishing to speak on quasi-judicial public hearings must complete a sign-up card and sign the oath. Sign-up and oath cards are available on the table. Individuals wishing to speak on non-agenda items may do so under petitions from the public present. This opportunity is offered twice in the meeting, and individuals may speak at either the first or second petitions, but not both. Citizens shall not comment on any issues more than once during the meeting. All comments except petitions and requests must address the pending issue, and citizens will be given 3 minutes to speak on all items. Citizens wishing to speak on the consent agenda must submit a sign-up card identifying the items of interest. Each speaker shall be limited to 3 minutes to speak on the entire consent agenda. All sign-up cards and exhibits being submitted to the City Council shall be placed on the box on the table.
Thank you, City Clerk. Are there any corrections to the minutes? I see none. I need a motion to approve the minutes of the regular City Council meeting on May 23rd, 6:30 p.m.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion. I have a second. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Minutes are accepted. City Manager.
Yes, sir. Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and City Council. We have some housekeeping items to take care of before we get into the agenda. Item 9C will be moved to 8 August meeting. Item 9D is withdrawn by the applicant. And item 10A will be moved to the August 22nd meeting.
And that's for information only, correct?
Yeah, you'll need to.
We make a motion.
We have to motion to change all that?
And Mayor, before we do that, if I could advise the public which items those are.
Yes, please. Thank you. Good idea.
Yeah, 9C is a conditional use permit number 2-2023 for the property located at 3580 Garden Street, All American Oil. 9D is a conditional use permit CUP number 3-2023 for 624 South Grannis Avenue, Wayne Manor Investments LLC. And 10A is a small-scale comprehensive plan amendment, SSA number 1-2023, Lieberman's multifamily project.
Okay. I guess I need a motion to that. Member Nelson?
So move item 9C to August 8th, 2023. Move 9D, withdraw it. And 10A to August 27th.
22nd.
22nd.
I have a motion from Member
23.
Nelson.
Second.
I have a second from Member Cole. Roll call vote.
Member Cole?
Yes.
Member Nelson?
Yes.
Mayor Diesel?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Robinson?
Yes.
Member Stokel?
Yes.
Agenda is amended with the approval of the council. City Manager.
No special recognitions or presentations this evening. We're on Board and Commission item 6A. This is the Historic Preservation Board's semi-annual report. Will be presented by Ms. Schiffelow, and the written packet is also in your agenda packet for your consideration.
Thank you, sir, and thank you, Ms. Schiffelow.
Good evening.
You look very Hawaiian or Floridian today.
Very Floridian today, sir. It's one of those tropical days. I'm pleased to be a contributing member of the Historic Preservation Board and the proud owner-resident of a locally designated historic home. The Historic Preservation Board's been pretty busy. We worked with JMT consultants to create architectural design guidelines, with a small matching grant from the Florida Division of Historical Resources. We sent invitation letters to owners of actual and contributing historic resources to attend our annual workshop to learn more about processes and procedures for making alterations to historic properties. The mayor issued a proclamation about May being the National Historic Preservation Month, and the city hosted in the lobby all month long a display of the historic homes and buildings around town on charts. We held that annual workshop on May 18th here in council chambers. It was well attended and we had terrific refreshments, as we historically do. The topic of the workshop was the draft architectural design guidelines and its application to the consideration to designate a structure as a historic building and the process of designation itself. And speaking of locally designated historic structures, we finalized the designation of the Liberty House at 4050 Coquino Drive by giving them their plaque for historic significance.
Very nice.
Our award-winning, this is me getting the award from the Secretary of State. Our award-winning booklet, Explore Historic Titusville. Tours, they're so popular, we've reprinted 1,000 copies, each of the booklet and the double-sided rack card that gives the city historic information. Now, we're continuing to look into the future, and our small matching grant to research, document, and acknowledge Joinerville, the traditional residential and business district of the African American Titusville citizens. We're waiting now, we're just waiting for the governor's signature. The grant has been approved. The Historic Preservation Board presses forward, encouraging owners of historic properties to seek listing on the local historic register. And we're educating the public on the values of rehabbing old structures and protecting the heritage of our town. I think you should be very pleased with the work of your Historic Preservation Board. Thank you for your
Well, thank you
time.
so much, and your presentation once again shows to me you guys have a passion for this, and that's what makes it work. I've seen so many different improvements. Some people might call them little things, but the little things lead to the big things. That little booklet, I'm not surprised you need to do another 1,000. That very first time I saw it, I thought, wow, and the things I didn't know.
Yeah.
So very impressed.
Informational.
Very impressed. Thank you so much.
Find it in the
Councilman?
lobby.
Yes, please do. City Manager.
On to item 6B, which is the North Brevard Library District Board. Accept the resignation of regular member Jan Corbin with an unexpired term to expire on 30 September 2023. Her resignation was effective on 5 July 2023.
Any cards on this one?
No, sir.
I see nothing on the council. Member Nelson.
Make a motion to accept the resignation of Jan Corbin from the North Brevard Library District Board with regrets.
With regrets and great thanks and appreciation. Absolutely. I totally appreciate that. I have a motion from Member Nelson.
Second.
I have a second from Member Cole. Roll call vote.
Member Nelson?
Yes.
Mayor Diesel?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Robinson?
Yes.
Member Stokel?
Yes.
Member Cole?
Yes.
And it passes unanimously. Again, thank you, Ms. Corbin. City Manager.
Item 6C, which is the Planning and Zoning Commission. Request is to appoint one regular member to the Planning and Zoning Commission with an unexpired term to expire on 31 January 2024. Alternate member Christopher Childs has expressed his willingness to serve as a regular member on the commission for an unexpired term of 31 January 2024. However, if not appointed as a regular member, Mr. Childs desires to continue serving as an alternate member on the commission. There are two additional applications on file for your consideration. It's Robert Johnston and Megan Mocoso.
Megan.
And I would,
Member Cole, I'm assuming that means you have a,
that means, yeah. I have a couple of people who have expressed an interest to be on the Planning and Zoning Board, and I realize that we've gone past the deadline, but I'm wondering if we could extend it to get a couple more people on there.
let's do this. I see at least two people who are on the list, so I'd like to hear from them.
Okay.
And then we certainly can entertain that motion or thought. So I know I see Miss Megan. Miss Megan, would you like to come up and speak?
All right, good evening.
Good evening.
So thank you, Council and Mayor Diesel, for considering me for the Planning and Zoning Committee. I'm a semi-new resident to Titusville. I've only been here a year and a half, but I believe I bring fresh perspective to the table. Sometimes having a fresh set of eyes and an open mind can lead to innovative and creative solutions. Without preconceived notions or biases, I'm eager to learn and adapt and bring new ideas to the table. So while I may not have direct experience in planning and zoning, I'm a quick learner, and I'm committed to immersing myself into the intricacy of the role, diligently studying the policies and regulations and the comprehensive plan. My dedication and enthusiasm will drive me to acquire the necessary skills and knowledge to make informed decisions. Furthermore, I possess strong analytical and problem-solving abilities. Although I may lack direct experience, I have honed my skills in other areas of my life that are transferable. I'm adept at conducting research, analyzing data, and thinking critically. Lastly, I think the most important is I'm dedicated and committed. I understand the responsibilities that come with this position, and I'm fully prepared to invest the time and the effort required to fulfill these responsibilities. I value the trust placed in the community by the community, and will strive to exceed expectations. So I want to thank you for your consideration, and if you have any questions.
Thank you, Miss Megan. Any questions? I will say here up front that I have been very impressed. The very first time I met you, as you know, was at the YMCA.
Yeah.
Ran into each other, and you expressed a concern about something I wasn't very familiar with. Probably not at all familiar with. And I was, sometimes it's not what you say, it's how you say it. I was very impressed with that. And then every time you have been here in a meeting, you have certainly gotten your points across, and you certainly have got us to understand where you're coming from. But you've always done so in a way that isn't, I don't want to use the word antagonistic, but it's something that I appreciate.
Thank you.
And so with that, I don't know where we'll go with this, but I did want to say that. And I appreciate you applying for the board. That says a lot, too.
Thank you. Well, Member Faison, he brought our whole group down to the lobby, gave us applications, and so I really commend him for doing that and trying to get the public involved. And so that's how I got the application and found out.
So who did that? I'm sorry.
Oh, so that was Member Faison on the planning and
very
zoning.
good.
Yeah.
Very good. Former football player of mine, actually. So, okay, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Next applicant. There's not many of you, Stan.
So it's the same handout.
Go ahead and start her up. Thank you. Is this the same one?
Yes, it is.
Well, then, here, I got one, so.
Is there enough?
I don't think Sarah's got, yeah, we're good now. I got one right here. I just pulled mine out right here.
All right, good, good. All right. My name is Stan Johnson, and I'm applying to be welcomed on the P&Z Commission, but maybe I won't be welcomed. I've been here for over 50 years, former city employee, retired in 2008, a registered professional engineer, and also I was a registered surveyor until from 2000 1980 until 2008. So I've got a lot of training, and I've worked with the city, and I've done numerous things with community development, site plans, and subdivisions, and I've been hired by the city and county to sometimes review site plans and subdivisions. So I want to comment on community development, though, which I would be working with, and that is that there's some outrageous misconduct and problems in the community development. And so I'm going to list some of there, where it says 7 examples of laws repeatedly violated by the city of Titusville. So there's 4 laws there. Water flows downhill, dams, weirs flood private property in violation of compensatory storage requirements. Number 3, violation of stormwater master plan, floodways outside of city limits require maintenance. And number 4, there's a numerous AE flood zones without calculations, unacceptable 1974 Kusira topographical map provided to FEMA, no due diligence, and loss of 1989 records by the city of Titusville that the city is supposed to have furnished to us. So with that information also, you go down to community development. There's a paragraph, the third one from the bottom, talks about Brad Parrish and Eddie Galindo, that they've issued a false report known as Resilient Titusville, and regarding that they're falsely say that we're in a sustainable situation. And we're having problems with Mockingbird Lane, SNJ Oaks. So there's a lot of problems that I'm already aware of, and I'm ready to service the city and the public. So please consider my application and the problems that I'm very much aware of. Thank you. Any questions?
I see none, thank you. I don't believe that Mr. Childs is here, is he? No, I haven't seen. Okay, just curious, did he leave a message with anybody to say anything or no? I don't want to
He
leave that
did.
down.
He's out of town.
Okay, thank you. See, I'm glad I asked. Member Nelson, nope, I'm sorry, Vice Mayor.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I've looked at the application and I know that we have a slot, regular slot to fulfill. And I know that some of our concerns, when the last time we had a couple of openings was with Mr. Childs not being attentive, but I've, read the minutes and so forth of the meeting, that he has lifted up his attendance and his participation in the process on the planning and zoning. And I would recommend that he take the, if we're going to move forward, I understand what Member Cole says as well, but if we're going to take that, shift him over to the regular slot, and this young lady, as she comes on, I apologize for saying that. I know that's not politically correct, but I'm an old-fashioned person, and I will call you young. And if she could entertain the idea of becoming an alternate, it would be a good process or good way to go.
Thank you, sir. Member Nelson.
I thought about that, and normally we would turn around and move the alternate up. But right now, we have a board that it's all men. I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings.
Yeah,
There's
I didn't know if we could
not a
talk
lot
about
of
that or not.
diversity here. So for that reason, I would like to see us look at Megan. I have talked to her. I spent about an hour and a half with her. And then I had to run off and do my watercolor class. But I think she's an exceptional young lady and very bright, very studious. I think she'll catch on quick. And I would like to see a woman in there.
Member Stokel.
Yep. I think these are always tough for me because they're just tough. And then what I always go back to is these boards are advisory boards for us. And I really look to them as individuals that I would want their opinion and advice and expertise to help us make better decisions, essentially. And so planning and zoning is one of those boards that I feel are very important. I don't know Megan that well, but she reminds me a lot of, I feel like when I first even was running for council, I didn't have a lot of expertise in government or local government. I did some education in it, but not a lot of hands-on. But willing to learn, study, and I think the fresh perspective is what I would really like to see and which would be a value to me when we have a lot of growth going on right now, to have somebody that is kind of new, a year and a half, coming from somewhere else that wants to get involved means a lot to me. The flip side is I know Christopher Childs has been faithful, going, serving as an alternate, and has just been present as well. But just when thinking about making decisions, I feel like Megan would be a good asset to that board.
Any other comments from the board or the council now on members? Then I guess I would ask for a direction. What I've heard thus far is Member Cole, it's talked about tabling it and let's get some more applicants. Member Nelson was nominating Miss Megan. That's easier for me to say. And Member Stokel seemed to back that up. Member Robinson wanted to go with he is reserve member, Childs. So with that, I guess we'd be looking for a motion in some way, shape, or form to do one of those. Vice Mayor.
Yeah, I understand and am very much aware that we do not have a woman or female on the board, and I concur with that, but I don't think that should be in the criteria of electing someone to board. They just had a very controversial Supreme Court decision based on things like that, so we have to be very careful.
And I would definitely agree with that if that was the only decision we were making this on. I think I see a very qualified application there and an applicant. And again, that's not to say that Childs is not, and it does seem as though, and I'll be honest with you, I have spoken with the chair of the PNZ, and he expressed the concern if we have someone who's very qualified and at least equally qualified, he would like to see a female have that side of representation. He also spoke highly of Chris and feels like he's done a really good job in the alternate role. So I think that there's really two good ones out there. And with that, I would be looking to see what direction we want to go in the form of a motion. And I threw out there what I think that I've heard from all the members, where we want to go. Member Nelson.
So I move to appoint Megan as regular member of P&Z.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to appoint, I probably ought to try this. Moscoso. I have a motion and a second to appoint Megan Moscoso to the opening in the PNZ. I do have a motion and a second, so we can take a vote on that. So I do a roll call vote.
Mayor Diesel,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Robinson,
No.
Member Stokel,
Yes.
Member Cole,
Yes.
Member Nelson.
And you are the newest member of the PNZ. I look forward to your, like you said, I think there's some areas there, newness, youth, so to speak, for me, comparatively speaking, youth. I think it's going to be awesome. I do want to say that I think that Chris Childs has visibly done a much better job and picked it up and has made an effort to, improve and do the things he needs to do, and I appreciate that. But I do say that I have also heard from the PNZ, and if we could have a very qualified candidate, which I think we have here, as I'm looking at the application, I keep looking down here, I think we've got a good one. So I appreciate that very much. City Manager.
On to item 6D, which is resolution number 17, 2023, Affordable Housing Advisory Committee. Since the adoption of resolution 16, 2021, the Neighborhood Services Department has received resignations from 3 of its members. Additionally, the department is requesting the removal of 1 member due to non-attendance and participation in at least 2 planning cycles. Further, the department has received one application from a citizen desiring to serve on the committee. As a result, the department is seeking approval of Resolution 17-2023 to reaffirm the service of 3 existing members and appoint 1 new member to the Affordable Housing Committee. And in summary, the reappointments will be Mr. William Bilgary, Joe Richardson from the P&Z as the liaison, Vice Mayor Joe Robinson as the elected official. Citizen requesting the initial appointment is Jody Coles, and accept the following resignations: Frida Atwood, M. Diane Ruth, and Sid Shahab. And a member also to be disenrolled due to excessive absences is Melissa Crisis.
So basically, we just have a step-by-step, and anybody who makes a motion, we would start off with accepting those who are at the top, right? Member Gary, Richardson, and Robinson.
I think it's set out in Resolution 17-2023. So if we move to approve that resolution, it's already set out.
So, okay, so that we can just approve the resolution and don't have to do the step-by-step?
Right. However, you will need to deal with the one member that I believe had some attendance issues.
The disenrollment.
Okay.
Okay, Member Nelson.
Now you lost me. Move to approve resolution number 17
We have a
dash.
card.
Oh, we have
I'm
a
Oh,
sorry.
I'm sorry, my bad.
Stan Johnston?
Well, he wasn't in his seat, I didn't see.
Stan Johnson, I read the resolution, and I'm in favor of it, but I'm also surprised that the city will well, I'll just stop there. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right, move forward.
Move to approve resolution 17-2023, Affordable Housing Advisory Committee.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. City Attorney, are we good on that so far? Roll call vote.
Vice Mayor Robinson?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Vice Mayor, he can vote? Okay, because he obviously has to approve himself. Okay. Thank
Member
you.
Stokel?
Yes.
Member Cole?
Yes.
Member Nelson?
Yes.
Mayor Diesel?
Yes. That part passes unanimously.
Okay, second part is member Melissa Christ, move to disenroll her due to excessive absences from AHOC.
Got a motion? From
Second.
Member Nelson, second from Member Cole. Roll call vote.
Member Stokel? Yes. Member Cole?
Yes.
Member Nelson?
Yes.
Mayor Diesel?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Robinson?
Yes.
Passes unanimously. Next part. I think there's another part. We have the accept the following resignations. Do we accept the resignations, or is that all?
Do we need to accept the resignations
That's part
since
of
we're
the,
actually
Was that part of
appointing?
it? So we're done with that already?
Okay.
Okay. Then we are done with that. City Manager.
on to item 6E, which is the Titusville Environmental Commission's recommendation related to stormwater testing. Consider the TEC's recommendation to support a citizen's initiative and grant permission to the citizen to have access to the city's outfalls to collect water samples and report their findings back to the TEC.
Vice Mayor Robinson.
The only thing that I have some current, some concerns about this request. It needs, we need to discuss every part of this. Is that the recommendation support the citizen to initiate and to grant permission for a citizen to have access to the city waterfall to collect water. I'm not in favor. It seemed like an organization that we have appointed to help us is now working in some forms against us. That's my take on this, the particular process.
Okay,
Okay?
you good? Member Nelson?
So I'm not for this because of liability issues. We're granting access to somebody we don't really know, to our facilities. So, and I understand what the TEC is saying, have no problem with that. If they went to the Marine Resource Council and said, hey, let's do it. If they went to UCF and said, hey, let's do it.
St. John's.
And St. John's Water Management and said, hey, let's do this. I think that would be great. I think in talking to some of the members, it's almost like they're not real sure what their job is. And I look at the TEC as a brain trust. I mean, you've got people from all sorts of different backgrounds, smart people, really smart people. So I think what I'm looking for is ideas from them, but ideas that are more fleshed out. And I think also that when we have different developments coming in, that they're able to say, these are the things we like or don't like, and this is why. So I understand what they're trying to get to, and I commend them for that. But I would like to see us go through Marine Resource Council. I know at least one of the members is involved with Resource Council. UCF has done things with us, and the waiver of liability and all the legal forms are pages long, but it's been done before. St. John's Water Management, same thing. They would have the ability to monitor it, to know, we know who they are, start with. And they also are used to dealing with these legal requirements. So that's my thought.
Staff, you want to add anything to that? What any concerns staff or city might have? Whoever that might be.
We had a lot of questions after the CEC's meeting, and so we went back to them with various questions, and the citizen was there to answer a lot of them. We weren't really satisfied with them. We feel there are a lot of questions still unanswered. I think the other examples that were brought up to us, like the UCF project, that was kind of laid out to us. That was from an organization. They gave us a proposal that was brought. I didn't look into details of it all to see how it was brought before the city, but I know that it was kind of laid out how all that information was going to be utilized, and we didn't get that kind of clarification here. So we just have a lot of questions about what's being proposed here, and we're not able to really answer comfortably that we should go forward with this.
All right. Anything else from up here?
So,
Vice Mayor.
Yes, and in continuation with what I was saying, like I have that uncomfortable feeling that the cart wants to lead the horse instead of the horse leading the cart. And also, it's a lot of smart people that we're working with in all around the state to the state. And I think that certain things needs to be done. But there's a lot of testing, and we have had lectures and presentations about all of the testing that is being done. Let us give it time to see where that particular testing takes us. We have been told in every presentation that this is not a process that is going to happen overnight. It takes a long, and then if we test it and we find out something there, what do we do then? We don't have the finances, so we have to wait until that the testing that is being done come to some type of come up with some type of result so that we will know what the next step can be and should be. We want them advising us, but understand that it's a lot of players in this game, and it's a lot of costs that is involved with each step that we take.
Yeah.
And so we want to make, like a jackass going up a hill, we want to make sure that our steps are very sure, and we are not just bumbling all over the place and going to slip and fall.
Thank you, sir. Member Nelson.
Like I said, I would feel comfortable if Marine Resources Council came to us and said, let's do A, B, and C. I don't know who's the new director of the Marine Resources Council, but I know there are several members that are working with Marine Resources Council. So, you know, from somebody like that, I would feel comfortable because they would know what they were using the data for. They would know how to make sure it's collected appropriately. And then we could go from there.
Okay. Thank you very much. Call the cards, please.
Stan Johnston,
Stan Johnston, professional engineer, and a nuisance to you guys, I believe, in some ways. You consider myself a nuisance. I'd like you to refer to this sheet of paper and make two corrections on the third paragraph from the bottom. It has to do with community development. It says C8 examples. It's supposed to be 7 examples. And then on the second line of community development, at the end of the line, it says example inlet D. That's supposed to be inlet D6. So those are the changes that you have. Now, what we're talking about is the horse leading the cart or the jackass going uphill. You know, I think in the case of the way I see it is according to this, is City of Titusville outrageous and misconduct. It's the jackass that's leading the city. And in this case is that you've seen many times, this, especially Jolene Nelson, look at this. It says sewage spray. Sewage spray, women, children, babies, and so forth. City of Titusville chose to leave the fountains on for months in a public park and dousing women, children, babies, and so forth when the wind blows with sewage, and cars too. My car was covered with sewage. I didn't realize it until after I got home on the drive. So this was courtesy of City Council, you guys. And Mrs. Nelson, here's what she said. You won't believe this. What she said is that she said somebody in FDEP did be told the city to leave the fountains on. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Go ahead and spray the children. And although the people are complaining of burning eyes, burning ears, throat, nausea, headache, diarrhea, she said, leave it on. And so did all council. Leave the sewage on, leave the spray, spray the children, spray the babies, spray the cars. So this is what kind of nonsense we've got. So when we're talking about who is leading the cart, it's something more like a donkey, not a horse. So this is a problem that we're faced with, and be reminded of what the city is doing about the right to clean water. What are you doing? You're opposing clean water. And what are you doing with this? The sewage spill. Deny the sewage spill. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. So I think regarding this matter, what you need to do is, of course, fire the city manager. He's a liar, a cheat, and a shyster. I know that as an expert witness. I know that as a personal witness. I'm not making this up. So thank you. Thank you for listening to what I have to say. And consider what's going on in pollution of our river. It's a bad scene. Thank you.
Thank you. Next card, please.
Bill Klein,
Bill Klein, 3 Indian River Avenue, Titusville, Florida. The TEC has been asking the City Council since the 1990s to test the stormwater systems and the storm sewer. It hasn't been done. The IRL has a report card from the St. John River Water Management District that says the North IRL habitat quality scores in 2000 was 68, 2005, 62, 2010, 71, 2015, 63, 2016, 43, 2017, 32, 2018, 40, 2019, 39. For 20 years, it's been getting worse and worse because Titusville is doing nothing to help it. Now, the MRC graded the IRL into the Titusville area in 2018 an F, 2019 an F, 2020 an F minus minus. It keeps going down. It gets worse. The City Council are 5 members who dictate what happens in Titusville. They approve, they appoint, they tell what will be done, what developments are done, what work is being done, what's being tested, what the sewer department has to do. You 5 are the ones who are responsible for Titusville and the Indian River Lagoon. What I see is we keep delaying and never testing a thing. I have talked to the MRC, the EPA, the FDEP, Florida Department of Health, to test the water in the pond in Sandpoint Park. They all refuse. And you guys keep saying, when they come and ask us to test, well, we're going to let them test. But if somebody has gone and gotten the money, got the people, got the methods to do it, you guys refuse. You guys keep saying, we want somebody we can trust. In other words, you want somebody who's not going to do a damn thing. Amen. Does City Council believe that ignorance of a serious problem protects them from doing nothing to solve the problem? Why did City Council sue Speak Up Titusville? Because they were responsible for working on the citizens' right to clean water in the city charter on the 2022 ballot? Who does Titusville City Council support by ignoring 83% of the Titusville citizens that voted yes to put the citizens' right to clean water in the charter?
Thank you, Mr. Klein.
Who do you
Appreciate
all
it.
represent?
Thank you.
Damn it.
I'm not going to get into a big argument with you. I'm going to say that it's always so easy to say you're doing nothing. First of all, if you listen to the Indian River Lagoon half-cent sales tax report, we have done more than double any other projects than anybody else in this county. You had your time. I'm going to rebuttal. I believe, and I wish I had it in front of me. I've certainly went around. I know you heard it because Mr. Robinson read it project for project at the Parks and Rec meeting last time. I think we were 16 completed projects. I don't want to be wrong on that either. Okay, 11 completed projects. The next closest to us was 5. I'm not going to point out all the other cities, but I can tell you the cities in the south are like 1 or 2. We got 11 completed, and we're complimented. No, I'm good. I'm going to go ahead and talk because I didn't talk when you were talking. And if you look at the agenda, we're going to spend a lot of money on water treatment. And I think that that's pretty important stuff. So I'm just going to say we can agree to disagree, and we can shout at each other, and we can say, damn it, and see if that doesn't make the point better. But the bottom line is we're doing a lot. We're doing a lot. And there's always going to be a group that doesn't want to know that doesn't want to say that. I never heard anything from TEC about, wow, we've doubled the things that we have done for the Indian River Lagoon. The projects we have done are more than double any other city in this county. And I'll just leave it at that. We're doing something. We're good. Next card.
Marlis Beckel.
Next card.
Ms. Breckles.
Hi, Marlis Breckel, 3 Indian River Avenue, Titusville. I've been going to the same internist for 13 years, and he retired this year. So I went to the new guy last week. I went in there. They made me get on the scale, and they weighed me. Then I went into the office, and the assistant took my blood pressure, took my temperature, took my oxygen level and my pulse. And then the doctor came in and he said, what was your last blood test? And I said, well, I had one this year. And he looked, he said, well, you had one in February, but that doesn't tell me how you are today. Have you been taking your cholesterol medicine? And I said, well, I'm taking it sometimes. I really don't want to take it. And he said, well, when you take it, we see numbers on this blood test that your cholesterol levels are way better than when you haven't been taking it. So that gives us an idea of how you're doing. Now, why do you think they take all these statistics about my body? They also asked me when I had my vaccines and all this stuff. Why do they want all those numbers? They want data. And why do you think that is? And why do we want data about the Indian River Lagoon? Why do we want data about what is in the water that runs off into the lagoon? Why would we care? Do you think it makes a difference? Now, if someone goes to all the trouble to get a grant to test that water so you don't even have to pay for it, why would you not let them do it? It gives us information that we need, because how can we fix something if we don't know what the problem is? We just know it's not getting better. So I mean, people could just go get water out of those outfalls. How would you know? You're going to have policemen down there watching the outfalls to see if some criminal's going to go get some water and test it secretly? No, this guy's on the up and up. He's a college professor, or a retired one. He knows things. He knows how to go get a grant. He went to all the trouble to do it. And you're thinking about not letting him do it? I don't get it. You guys are going to have to explain this stuff to me.
Thank you. You want to?
Yeah.
Member Nelson?
I do want to say something.
Yeah, I do.
One of the problems that I have with this guy is, and I don't know him, I've never met him, but he came before us a couple of years ago, and he wanted to test some water in a ditch, and it was basically,
Behind his house.
he wanted to, what I recall was he wanted to go into people's backyards and test the water. So when I say that, you know, I'm looking for somebody that we recognize, that we know is going to do it in the manner that we need to have it collected. And this is something I talked to Sandy Reller about, because we were talking about PFAS testing and what it takes for them to get the accurate data. And so when I look at Marine Resource Council, I go, you know, they're already collecting samples. So if they can do it, that would be fantastic. I don't know why they wouldn't do it. So them or somebody like them, so that our samples are good samples, they're correct, collected in a good manner. I was concerned when this guy was like wanting to go in different people's backyards, and like trespass liability. I mean, those are attorney questions, you know. So realize when you're dealing with an organization, they already have that insurance, that liability insurance, which protects us. So when I say I'm looking for an organization that we know, that's why. So, may not agree with me, but legally, I think part of our job is to protect the city.
Next card, please. No more cards. Member Nelson. So, you put to a card. Do you want to motion me on this or talk about this or?
Well, I think we've all sort of said it, at least three of us have, which is, and Herman says he agrees. I would like to see somebody do the testing, but I would like to see it an organization with that liability insurance behind them, that academic kind of background. So that's my thought.
I think what I'm hearing is it's not so much the testing, it's the format,
Right.
the personnel, the quote, if it's a scientific company, that sort of thing to test. I mean, I do have sometimes I'm not quite sure what we're testing in a stormwater pond because it's supposed to be with stuff that flows into a stormwater pond.
Well, I think this is the outfall. It's not the
Okay,
pond itself,
then
the outfall.
that makes more sense.
And, you know, there's stuff in the groundwater. There's stuff in the aquifer naturally occurring. So there's going to be stuff in there. And that part doesn't bother me so much because, yeah, it's in the aquifer. Wouldn't be a bad idea to find out what's there. Don't have a problem with that.
I don't either.
And we can either deal with it or not deal with it.
Vice Mayor.
Yeah, just for, to let everyone know that I try to put a lot of thought into things. I just finished reading a book about the bones of St. Peter that was found under the Vatican and in Rome. And in that process, that was about a 75-year, somewhere between 40 and 75-year process. They brought in two of the world's best archaeologists, and it was amazing that they both came up with different results. And it almost tore the Catholic Church apart. Sometimes you bring in experts and people with a whole lot of knowledge. They can skew anything to come up with the results that they want. And the results that best show that they were right in the whole process. So what I'm trying to do, and I think the council is trying to do, is to take these steps in progress so that everyone will be able to see the data and the data go to the people who have the money to be able to make the changes and make the difference. But at any given time, we have to understand everybody's expertise can be at levels all over the board. And if you want to skew something your way or skew something the other way, you can make it happen. All we're trying to do is if we make a step, if we go forward, we have all of the, we'll use the word, ducks in a row before we make that step forward. We can't just depend on someone because they did that when they were working and so forth. We want someone, if that individual has all of that talent, get with all of the other people that has all that talent and put it all in one bag and say, okay, all of you experts, with my expertise and my support, we come up with this answer, and then we can move forward. But if an independent person say, I know all of this and I know all of that, and then the other entity comes up with something different, who do we believe? Who do we believe? Who do we believe? And we are sitting up here just as if you were sitting here in the up here in the council. You would be faced with the same decision. If you hire somebody outside the field to do something, and they come up with just what you want, oh, I thought that for so many years. You would follow them, but the other entity who has been testing it periodically for years and years come up with something different, you would want to throw that person out because their testing didn't come up with the way that you wanted it to come out. All we are trying to do is make the right decision for the long term. It didn't take 2 years or even 20 years for the Indian River Lagoon to get in the condition that it's in. And by God, I know it is not going to take 2 years and testing of the storm drains to get it clean again. It's going to take a lot of effort on the part of a lot of people. And if we fight against one another, we're not going to do anything but go nowhere. We have to decide. My decision may not be totally in alignment with what you want, but I care much about the Indian River Lagoon as anyone else. But I have to make the decision based on what I think is the best to make sure that in the long term, maybe 10 years, maybe 15 years, children will be swimming in the Indian River Lagoon again. But we want you to monitor it and make sure that we're doing everything from our platform that we can do to make it happen. Don't try to split the church because we don't agree exactly with the way that you wanted to get it done.
Thank you, sir. We are at the place where we are looking for a motion one way or the other on this. We have discussed this. If there's further discussion, that's great. We have called the cards. Member Cole?
I'll make a motion that we deny this request.
Can you be more specific on that?
Yes. The recommendation was to support a citizens' initiative and grant permission to the citizens to have access to the city's outfall to collect water samples and report their findings back to the TEC. And my motion is to deny the request.
And I think I'd add to that Member Nelson made it very clear it's not that we don't want to test. We'd like to have a little more confidence in
The person testing.
No, we definitely agree with testing. It's just that the way it's tested and the professionalism of the group that's testing is what we have a concern with.
And I would second that.
I have a motion from Member Cole, a second from Member Nelson. Roll call vote.
Member Cole?
Yes.
Member Nelson?
Yes.
Mayor Diesel?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Robinson?
Yes.
Member Stokel?
Yes.
The motion passes. City Manager.
On to item 6F, which is the Titusville Environmental Commission recommendation related to televised meetings. Consider the recommendation of the TEC to live broadcast, stream, and video record the TEC's meetings and allow the commission members on leave to dial in by Zoom and also allow for public participation by Zoom.
I'd start off by saying, and I have been for a while, I am very much for televising the TEC meetings. I think that there are some meetings that are being televised that we could flip those off and but not televise and get the television to the TEC meeting. I am for that. I have been for that, and I don't see any reason not to. The Zoom thing is new to me. And you have to hear the technology on that and some concerns from staff or what it would be. We don't have that with any other organization. We don't have that with City Council. I'm not sure that's the way I want to go, but I definitely want to get moving on getting TEC on the air. Member Nelson.
So I don't have any problems with videoing. I do have a problem, and I don't have a problem with the members calling in by Zoom when they're on vacation, as long as those people aren't voting, because I don't think legally we could have them voting without them being there.
You have to have a physical quorum to conduct business.
Yeah.
But if they're going to be in attendance as a member on Zoom, then they will have an obligation to vote.
Okay.
But that does create issues with when you're dealing with quasi-judicial items, evidentiary items.
Correct.
Very difficult to do that by Zoom because the members aren't there to necessarily see and the evidence. So I wouldn't do a blanket, we could
Okay.
certainly evaluate that. And as you said, knowing ahead of time to set it up if the members can't be present, the ability to call in, we can certainly look at that. But you do have to have a physical quorum present to do business.
Yeah.
We had that problem with the
Yeah.
pandemic.
Yeah.
With council. We were really struggling with how to do that. It's not as easy to Zoom on things sometimes as we thought it would be. And it is kind of awkward. I remember Mayor Johnson sitting here sometimes, and we had some members that couldn't be here because of the pandemic, and it had a delay. It was very awkward. So I would just say that. But outside of that, I'm not much of an expert on Zoom. I'm not a fan of participating in Zooms, but that doesn't mean that we couldn't do it. But I will stand by getting TEC on broadcast. Back to you.
Well, and the other question was allowing citizens to participate by Zoom. And I'm sort of wary of that. And maybe it's because I'm a little old-fashioned. Just a little.
What I want to make sure doesn't happen, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I want to make sure doesn't happen is we don't get caught up in the Zoom part, which again was new to me. I've not really heard anybody say to me from TEC over the last couple of years, oh, we got to get into Zoom. What I heard was we got to get on the air. I don't want the Zoom part to slow down the getting on the air part. So I'd like to separate those two if need be. But I don't want to, my own opinion, I don't want to leave here without having voted yes to get TEC's meetings broadcast. Member Stokel.
Yep, that's what I was going to say. I think for the time being, I would like to see them getting some broadcasting on YouTube and online. Still kind of iffy about the Zoom thing. We don't do it on council right now. I do think I don't know if we're there right now where that's needed, but I would like to see them have a little bit more of a presence, as you mentioned, online.
I think that they have earned and deserve, and there's an interest out there. So I'd like to meet that with TV broadcast. Member Cole?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion that we.
Oh, we got cards.
Oh, we have cards.
Cards, please.
Okay.
Stan Johnston?
I support the motion. I think it's a good idea. The TEC deserves it. It's an important issue. Thank you.
Agree. Next card.
Kay Sing Ange?
Casey Nunge, Maryland Avenue. I attend most TEC meetings, but if I don't attend it, I send for the audio recording and I listen to the whole thing. It's very tedious. I don't know how many of you listen to the audio recording, but I think you would be more likely to watch the video recording, and it is a lot more helpful. These are your advisory board. This is your advisory board. And if you had the opportunity to watch the video recording, I think you might be inclined to do so. So I would certainly appreciate it if you would go ahead and approve the video recording of TEC. Thank you.
Thank you. Next card.
Marla Breckles?
I'm just going to speak from here because I just wanted to
Okay.
say I'm in favor of the recording. And
Thank you.
shows respect for your advisory board.
Right. Next card.
Tony Sheffalo?
Shifalo, Norwood House, Tropic Street. I'm all for this, and I'm really gratified to hear that you're saying that you are too. I just wanted to not miss an opportunity to speak about television, which I love dearly because I worked in it for so long, and it's so effective. Back in the winter when I was wearing the hats all the time when I was speaking, I went to the Searstown Mall. I'm going in, an old lady was coming out. She says, "Oh, you're the hat lady." I said,
Oh, my.
she says, "Yeah, I see you at City Council on YouTube all the time." People are watching, and it's really good to have the TEC televised because it is so tedious. Back when there was an issue, I too listened to it. Whoa, boy. And my poor Historic Preservation Board, we don't care really, we think people should be in the room, but that's okay. It's tedious to listen to that too. But the TEC is so important because they talk about issues that everybody in Titusville is concerned about. And there would be a lot more clarification had the TEC meetings where this measuring the outflow of the stormwater drains, there would be a lot more understanding that he is working with an organization, a university. There are plans to collect certain data and plans to do things with it. This was all thoroughly discussed at a TEC meeting. Too tedious to listen to the audio. So thank you for your concern and for finally flipping the switch and giving us video.
Yeah, and it's really, you can call it a finally. I hadn't heard about it much until maybe early this year. And I actually think the first time I heard about it was over at the Arbor Day thing. Somebody had come up and I thought, well, that's a good idea. And so I've kind of wanted to do it, and we've had to maneuver, and one of the things is maneuver. We had to go through budget sessions so we can budget it. So that's just I'm not speaking for everybody, but it sounds to me they're similar. So I look forward to getting it out there.
And watch for me to come for a community radio station.
There you go. Oh, you can be
listen in your car.
You're the one. You're the DJ. Vice Mayor Robinson.
Yes, you just tapped on what my concern is the budgeting and the cost. I think it is time to do that, but we also have to consider what the cost is. And what is the average time limit on the TEC meeting?
2 hours, about 2 hours.
2 hours, about 2 hours? Okay. We need to, as you stated, we need to include that.
Well, we can do that. At the same time, though, I think we've also decided that if need be, we'll either take turns or switch one of the ones that's not being watched as much off that's on TV and put them in the place, and that wouldn't cost us much, if anything. My time's up. Stan, my time's up. So with that, I appreciate that. Yes, Member Nelson.
And that's something we can consider at budget time. You know,
Right.
do we want to increase the budget for this a little bit?
We start
Yeah.
looking at that thing, but I think the main thing is whether we are switching a couple things around or flipping
Yeah.
TEC on and somebody else off. I think it's time to get TEC on the air. I just do. So I'm ready to move to a motion.
You
but
want a
I would like a
motion?
motion that would say the TEC broadcast and not get involved with the Zoom. Because I don't want that, we're not ready for that, and we don't want financially or technically right now.
How about,
And I'm not sure I'm even in favor of all that interaction part. We don't do it. I'm not sure that but let's get them on the air.
how about if I say, move to approve the recommendation of the TEC to live broadcast and video record the TEC meetings? Does that do it?
City Attorney, can we just make the motion that way without going into the Zoom part?
Yes, sir. If you want to address the Zoom in the same motion, you can, or you can do a separate.
Well, I would go ahead and then add to the part that we would like to wait on the Zoom or more research on the Zoom, if that's the case, if we're going to have to put them both in there. But the main thing is yes on the broadcast,
And
hold on the Zoom.
Okay, hold on the Zoom.
Okay.
Is that good enough?
I'll second.
Got, you guys over here have to jump up for a second here, I'm telling you. Member Nelson with the motion, Member Cole with the second. Roll call vote, please, on the broadcasting of TEC.
Member Nelson? Yes. Mayor Diesel?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Robinson?
Yeah, Member Cole said when he took that seat that no one was going to beat him at making a motion
That's true.
anyway. So I don't even try. Yes.
I remember that.
No need to fight.
Member Stokel?
Yes.
Member Cole?
Yes.
Pass it TEC on TV, passes unanimously. City Manager.
On to petitions and requests.
Oh, I haven't gotten that far. My bad. It's twice I missed it. Petitions or requests from the public. Well, you can just come up. Name and address for the record, please.
Good evening. My name is Greg Price, 2873 Shady Oaks Drive in Titusville. I'm appearing before you tonight. My wife and I have come tonight to try to request your help in trying to resolve. We're still trying to get our site permit and building permit plan to be able to expand our school. We appeared in August at the April 11th meeting, and we're still waiting to try to get that done. Relatively simple build, but we had to go through the conditional use permitting again, and the same conditional use has been used to build 3 different buildings. But in this particular case, we didn't get revision notes until May 31st, and there was a bunch of revisions in there, which we have done, that seem to be outside of the scope of really what we're building. It's, like I said, it's a pretty easy build, and we're just not sure. We have 60 students that we were trying to bring in, new students that we were not able to give a starting date for the school year because we don't know how to plan it out, and we're not actually sure how to get everything pushed through and how to connect the dots, and we just would really like to request your help in trying to figure out how to get it done.
Before I even start to ask a question, I'm assuming that you have been in touch with Brad over there, Mr. Parrish, or his office?
I have talked to several people in different capacities,
Okay.
yes.
Well, then let me go. Mr. Parrish, is there any update that you have on this? Are you prepared, or do we need to get you with him? Clearly, this is not something I'll be able to settle from here.
This is the first I've heard about this issue.
Okay.
Personally. I'd like an opportunity to speak with our staff to see what's going on and speak
Okay.
with you.
Because we really, we've got, and even for the new kids that we're trying to bring in as part of our expansion, we're not able to even tell our returning students and parents when we're started. I know we're already out. Public school starts on August 10th. We're already into the beginning of September at least. So we just need to be able to figure out how to conduct business.
I would say there needs to be, obviously, and we've done this before, maybe you can give them your card and get that communication through you, and because we don't have the answer up here, that's for sure.
Okay.
And that's why they sit over there when we say, hey, what's going on? So if you could do that, that would be the most important step, and then we can be updated by Mr.
Okay.
Parrish. Okay, so why don't you run by over there and get a card and
All right.
communicate with him? Thank you very much. All right, thank you very much. Next up.
I have pictures this time.
Oh, very good, very good.
In case anybody wanted to
I
see
drove over
exactly
there.
what I'm talking about.
I'm not sure I drove in the right place, but I drove over
Yeah.
there the next day where
So-
I'll be able to tell if I was close.
And I'm going to go a lot slower this time, too. I take notes from my directors every now and then.
You were passionate to get us in.
I am. I'm a very, you've known me for a while. I'm a very passionate person. All right, so, hello, Melinda Villan, 236 Acorn Drive. I'm here again about the 20-foot wide city-owned dead-end public right-of-way that runs alongside the length of my property. Let's start with, is the street really 20 feet wide? Sure, if you include the buffers. However, a street sign, light poles, and trees line the buffer zones, cutting down the passable width of the street. Also, there's no clear indication where the right-of-way ends and private property begins. Additionally, the street is only paved 16 feet across. There is one way in and out, and it dead ends. There's no way to turn around. That basically leaves 2 8-foot wide travel lanes without a throughway or turnaround, giving vehicles the ability to only pull in and back out through the same entrance. The business at the back of the street has created their own loading and unloading zone to their detached shed directly across from my driveway being the only platted access to the street when we bought the property. They do not block one lane of traffic, they block the whole street, and that means blocking my driveway and therefore not allowing us any access during deliveries. And the city? You guys said it's okay. In fact, the highlighted code ordinance you gave me said they could block the street for up to 12 hours if they were actively unloading. So every day they can block the street, and every day I may not have access to my driveway for up to 12 hours? Sure, it seems extreme, but according to the city, it is totally okay. You've also given permission for a triple axle truck to back up 90 degrees onto the side street, block both travel lanes on the street, and park alongside 2 properties being used as residences, one with a child at home while deliveries are being made. You have said it is okay for a truck that requires a 15-foot wide parking space to back down a street that is only paved 16 feet across to make deliveries when Hopkins is a much safer option. I question why the commercial property is given more rights over the right-of-way to block off the entire street with potential multiple daily deliveries to their shed. I question why the deliveries to a commercial business are more important than the safety of residents, especially children, since backing up freight trucks account for 15,000 injuries and 500 deaths a year. I contend that the original uses for their street that has been a dead end since the 1940s in a neighborhood that was originally incorporated in the early 1900s does not conform to the modern standards of travel for larger vehicles and therefore requires restrictions. I am asking the city to put a weight and size restriction on the dead end street off of Acorn Drive, preferably with no commercial vehicles allowed. Thank you.
Wow, time to spare.
And I did it slower this time.
No. I sense your frustration, and what you're saying to me certainly is new to me. I mean, obviously, I don't get all that, and we allow whatever. Obviously, you're speaking of codes.
What the
and
code
I know
enforcement
you are, I know you
gave
are.
me and highlighted for me and gave.
I feel like I need a study hall just to figure out all the things you're talking about that are a problem. And again, I hate to do this again, but it looks to me like we're going to have to talk over to the staff over there if you haven't. But I'm glad we got a couple of lights lit up so they can help me out here, Member Stokel.
Yep. No, I was just curious if she can point out exactly on this picture what the road and the driveway.
Okay, so
Yeah.
That's where I'm.
This is your public right of way. It's
Okay.
paved 16 feet across. You have 2-foot buffers on either side that create that 20-foot public right of way.
Okay.
So each of these property lines here have a 2-foot buffer that is a part of your city's right of way. The actual street is paved 16 feet across. Right here, where this car is, that's actually where my driveway is, halfway down.
That's what I was wondering where your driveway was.
Halfway
Okay.
down the street. So when they pull up, they're blocking all of this here. They're pulling the truck up here alongside both of these houses here.
Okay.
And blocking, so there's no throughway, so there's not like if they're blocking one half of the street, I can go down the other half of the street.
You're just blocked.
Yeah, that's so her driveway. She's saying is right over here, and this is the road, and her driveway's here.
And the second picture that I gave you, that's the back half of the alley. Like I said, it's full of trees and everything like that. Every hurricane that comes through, y'all are gonna have to send roadway maintenance through because it builds up. It hasn't been used, the back half of the alley hasn't been used the whole time that I've lived there in 4 years. So it hasn't been cleaned by the city, And then I don't know how up to date your street maintenance maps are, if they actually cover every single city that you guys have surveyed. But my street is not a part of that. And so I wonder if those are completely up to date, why my street hasn't been surveyed by the city,
We obviously would have to inquire ourselves. Vice Mayor, do you have something that?
Yes, I'm trying to understand it. I spent 24 years looking at this street.
Oh, I know.
All right. Okay. And I'm trying to understand, you're on the north side of Acorn.
Yes, I'm on the north side of
North
Acorn,
side.
directly.
And you are the third house down?
Yes.
All right.
You know exactly where I'm at.
Just a little bit about it.
Yeah, just a little.
And tell me what your concerns is. Let me understand what's happening.
That street, that's right there, that narrow street, that's
Right.
off of Acorn on the north end.
Divide the two houses on the corner from the third house.
Yeah. Yes. It is half zone commercial, half zone residential, basically. The way that the zoning lines up between it. The commercial property that has frontage on Hopkins, but their property runs that whole length of those two houses,
Right.
Are using that back alleyway and backing triple axle freight trucks
Right.
down that alleyway. That's my concern, that it doesn't seem like there's enough width in the street to do that safely.
Talking about the North Brevard truck that goes up and down.
No, I am talking about a FedEx freight truck.
That goes up and down.
That is making commercial deliveries. They have a standalone shed that they actually built a access, cut 25% into the public right of way to create a access to their shed to make deliveries easier. And that's what they're doing, is pulling up directly next to their shed, which is right across from my driveway.
And who are they making deliveries to?
They're making deliveries to their business, to a detached shed, to their business, not to their main building.
I know that the city rezoned this and made everything that is west of your driveway. Mm-hmm. Those two houses and the driveway that runs up to North Brevard Charities, that road they go, that's an actual street.
Yes, and that's what the city said,
And everything-
that is an actual street, that is owned by you guys.
That is correct. And what's west of that, all of those are commercial properties.
Yes.
They are designated commercial properties,
Yes.
everything, because of the rezoning. So, as the mayor said, I agree, I understand your concern, I saw it, but I didn't know that they had started parking their delivery truck, blocking you. And that is a major concern that you have.
Especially with a child at home.
You used to
Yeah,
go
I mean,
through at some point.
there's no throughway. That throughway, your code ordinance actually found where you guys abandoned the street, and it was in the 1940s.
Yeah, that's correct. All right, I'm right with you, right?
Yeah, it's just the safety concern. I'm Mama Barrett, and when they pulled a freight truck up
Because the zone
less than
was
5 feet
changed,
from my property.
I think about 10 years ago, the zoning of that, because those used to be the two houses that are west of you, there used to be residential. But if they, because of when things change, if the use ever changed, they have to go back to, they have to be commercial properties again.
Right.
That's correct.
I guess Sarah's seen it. City manager, who do we go to? You can direct if you wish, but certainly we aren't the one to give the answer. And I'm sure it's going to be another meeting, but clearly she's getting blocked in. I don't know if we need to put signs up or enforce it, because it almost sounds like it's mostly an enforcement thing.
That would be my recommendation, if I could make a recommendation, is get
Signage.
staff, code enforcement, go down and talk and find out what's going on and talk to the business people that are there.
I've already spoken. That's how I got all the information. That's what the city told me. Is code enforcement told me that they can block that street for up to 12 hours. That's the ordinance that you guys had that she highlighted for me,
Ma'am.
and then went and gave the
Go ahead.
business.
What exactly are you asking the city specifically?
To put a weight and size restriction on that dead end street.
And I don't know how that would work, and that would certainly be an ordinance proclamation, something. But at the same time, my first thought is there needs to be some enforcement of people who are stopping there and blocking your street and ending your day.
When I asked code enforcement about it, and I said, so it's okay for them to back a freight truck up, and we're in the street, I'm gesturing to it, I'm showing them, then they can block the whole street. Code enforcement said yes.
We need to somehow, I don't know,
Yeah.
I don't know when code
Maybe.
enforcement says that, if they're right or wrong, but I do know that we need to figure out what the situation is. We're not going to know this right here. I don't know, I don't have the codes in front of me.
We'll talk to code enforcement. We'll look at the codes and see and bring back anything for advisability. If we see there's potential problems, we can certainly do that.
But if that, clearly, if that is in the code and they're correct, that's a problem. I mean, it sounds to me like they can block somebody in and bring things down there that shouldn't be down there. Okay. Okay, so, and I got a couple more things here, but apparently we will, by that, city attorney, your office will do that?
In conjunction with the city manager and code enforcement, I'm suggesting we look at the codes, we look at the facts, and see whether or not city manager wants to make a recommendation to come back to you if we need to do something.
And I would say, from what I've heard, we need to do something. Member Stokel?
Yeah, just to clarify on that, I think knowing what our code says, because if that is the case and code enforcement is enforcing what they have to enforce, we may need to look at an ordinance change
We would need
potentially.
to fix that.
So that's kind of what I would like to see.
That's why it's good for you to bring that, because I can't tell you what the code is, and they know better than I do. So if they're saying that, there must be some flaw in the code if that's what they're saying and they're right. If they are correct, then we need to make
If
that
you give me
different.
2 minutes, I can find it and bring up your own code for you. I mean, I know where it is in your code of ordinance. I have it saved. You know, what was given to me, I just didn't grab it on the way
Well, I
out.
will tell you what, we can probably do that, but at the
Okay.
same time, I wouldn't mind if you emailed it to me, and you might have my phone number from days gone by.
I don't think I have your phone number, but I can find your email address.
I'd like to see it.
Yeah.
That's kind
Yeah.
of key.
No, I can do that when I get home today. Absolutely.
Anybody else? Okay, no? We're good?
Okay, thank you.
Something needs to be done.
Yeah,
I don't know the code and this and that. They're gonna look into that. I'd like to be able to read it in black and white myself and say, what the heck kind of code is that?
yeah. I mean, because that's basically
I'm
what
sure
it
if code
says.
enforcement says it, they do their stuff every day. I'm sure he's probably right.
Yeah.
And if he's right, we gotta fix it.
Okay. Thank you. I
right,
appreciate
thank
it,
you.
everyone.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
very
And my Mama Bear heart really appreciates it
Oh,
too.
I know you do.
really do. Thank
I
you
know
so
you do.
much.
Thank
And I'll
you so
email
much.
you your actual city
Tell your-
code.
tell your
tonight.
girl I said
Thank
hi.
you. Thank you, everyone.
Next up, I don't even know this lady. She looks so different.
I had eye surgery. I don't need glasses anymore
know,
for
that's
reading or for long distance. I'm so thankful. But I am concerned, K. St. Ange, Maryland Avenue, I am concerned about the dangerous intersection at the corner of US 1 and Dairy Road. This intersection is the only place with a pedestrian crosswalk to cross US 1 to access Chain of Lakes Park. As you know, a 130-acre apartment complex has been approved immediately adjacent to that intersection. At this intersection, when the pedestrian signal indicates pedestrians and bicyclists can cross US 1, vehicle traffic is allowed to turn across the crosswalk. As these vehicles aren't on the lookout for pedestrians, this poses a hazard. As well, on the northwest corner of this intersection, the pedestrian signal button is located just a few feet from the traffic lanes. The ground underneath the button is uneven. I mean, it just slopes away like that and strewn with baseball-sized gravel. On Father's Day, my husband stopped his bicycle on this uneven ground, and when trying to push the signal button, lost his balance and fell into the vehicle lane. He lay in the traffic days before being able to untangle himself from his bicycle. Cars continued to drive around him without stopping to assist. When he was able to get up, he managed to ride the mile home, where I drove him to the ER to address his many large wounds. I'm concerned that the new residents of Dairy Road's apartment will be endangered when they try to cross US 1 to get to Chain of Lakes Park. As well, a new coffee shop is being built on the east side of US 1, just south of this intersection. I would hope that you might be able to influence FDOT to send an inspector to the site. The inspector can consider moving the signal button away from the traffic lane and changing the sequence of the light to prevent vehicles from turning across the crosswalk when pedestrians are being signaled to cross. I have filed a complaint with the FDOT website, but I'm not sure how effective that will be. Another option is to add a pedestrian crosswalk on the intersection of Jess Parish Road and US 1 to access Chain of Lakes Park further south. So thank you for listening to my concern.
I would say, without getting into great detail, because I have more questions than not, but my granddaughter plays softball out there. So I've been there a lot more in the last couple of years than ever before. And I would agree, and I need to go out there and maybe even try it myself, but I can tell you that when I'm getting ready to make my left out of the Chain of Lakes, that's a pretty long walk. It's a long crosswalk.
Yes.
So I don't know the answer. I'm going to ask who we talked to about that specifically. I think you've got the answer on that already because I think you said it, and I think that's it. But I would second your concern, especially your husband's situation. I'm sorry to hear about that. But it's tricky. I'm assuming that is FDOT. I'm assuming that's not our deal.
Correct.
So all we can do is, as we have in the past, quite honestly, and you kind of use that word too, all we can do is encourage them to take a look at it. Yeah, sometimes we get reaction, and sometimes it's like we're not even here.
Oh.
But I will certainly meet with city manager about what we need to do. I don't know if that's a phone call or a letter. I can just express it as citizen concerns, and in my own case, I can say I'm there quite often, and I can see it's a concern.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next. Stan, I think there's some more, and I know you'd like to go last.
I'm Michael Dwyer. I live at 2852 Demerit. I spoke at the last meeting about the Apollo Gardens project. I want to know if Brad has gone over the site plan for this and whether any of this is being addressed by the city yet.
Well, I can't really answer for what Brad's done. I'm not on staff. I don't go to work with him every day. I have no idea. But when I do ask questions, he gives me good and solid answers. And Brad, would you like to comment briefly?
The site plan's still under review. That's really the best I can give you at this stage. We're almost complete with our second round of the site plan. So the way it worked is that we received an application, reviewed it, provided comments to the applicant. They responded with a resubmittal changes based on our comments and responded to our comments. And so that's what we're reviewing right now. And I believe we're almost completed with that stage.
So it should be done possibly in the next month or so?
All I could say is that we will complete our second round of our review of the site plan fairly soon. What happens after that, based on whether we have any comments that the applicant needs to address, it's up to them. Then we have to wait on them.
Okay. And I just want to say congratulations to Megan. I think she's going to be a big asset to your city.
Thank you. Thank you. I think so. Next up. Stan. Stan, if you want to go.
All right, Doug, wait.
Roll 'em.
Stan Johnston, professional engineer, and I'm involved in a project called SNJ Oaks, a three-acre project located at the corner of Whispering Hills Road and Elizabeth Avenue.
What avenue? What avenue?
Elizabeth Avenue.
Elizabeth.
And it's 28 townhomes. It's got a preliminary plans approved and so forth like this. So I'll just go over, I got 5 posters that I made about this, and so this is one of them. This is 6 months after over 6 months after it was approved by the city for a sketch plat, and I just mentioned some things. Approved sketch plats, oak tree blocking access to turnaround, no Mockingbird Lane, it's gone. 12-foot access for R3 lots, no public utilities, utility easement that is for some houses. Violations of Florida statutes, FS 704 survey requirements, mistreatment of disabled and elderly people. City claims no legal access and violations of FS Florida statute 704, survey laws and so forth. Existing two-way traffic denied, use of double standards, tree surveyors, who knows who did it. Affidavit of a fake boundary survey, which I recorded. Center manager and staff, no response. That's not true, for Public Works did respond. So that's one of the posters. Another poster I have here is talking about, this is a section of the field book from the city of Titusville, of a measurement of the angle of intersection of the rights of way and also the plat angle. And the city of Titusville disagrees with it by about 30 minutes, which is a big difference. And this is part of the plans, inlet D6, in which it continues to violate the law that water flows downhill. Violation of the law that water flows downhill. And I think, and then I have this other one. This should be, instead of 10 million, it's about $5 million project. A fake survey, fraud. The city manager does what about it? Nothing. And I'm worried about, is it going to be a new owner? It's going to be sold? It was sold. So the old owner doesn't have to worry about any of these problems. And the last one, the fifth poster is this. I like to show this to you. This is the southwest corner, and there's errors, and it shows a 12-foot easement, and it has overhead electric. It's shown, you can see it out there. It's not shown on the survey. It's not shown on the plat. I talked with Glenn Tolson about this. I'd like to another minute.
Finish that thought.
Okay, another minute is that this apron, when it's constructed, will violate City of Titusville technical manual, and my goodness. So we have to wait till after it's constructed, and then it has to be taken down. This is the right-of-way is shown to be way over here, which when you measure 50 foot of that, it shows that the sidewalk on the sidewalk on the other side of the street is within private property. So what you have in this is a survey that is a boundary dispute with the City of Titusville right-of-way.
Thank you.
And I'm asking you to have the survey corrected.
Thank you for your presentation.
Brad and Mark met with me and said that indeed the survey has an error in it. Thank you.
Okay. Next.
No, my name is Douglas Kneff. I live at 671 North Dixie Avenue, Lot 33 and 21. I was here on October 25th, 2022 at 6:25 to 6:30 and gave you a 3-minute presentation on a lifetime Florida State recommended seawall. Welcome to a better way to deserted land left of the shoreline. Today, I have another piece of paper to read you. On a row of streets built with a curve and resembling segments of lines marked off for several divisions and sections, I found Hurricane Ivan and Nicole's mark. When I was here before, it was just one hurricane. Now it's 2. I found Hurricane Ivan's Nicole's vestige marks. On the northern side of the bank of the earth, the mark's vestige is made separate by lines, and a plane that is part of an area that is connected to it by its chords. I've constructed and built from scratch the physical process of work done by my hands that produces a defense not by hand, but to do and operate as to increase the value and strength of its interest. Value and strength I am the owner of such a device, and I hold the merchandise to which is applied and legally reserved the exclusive use as a maker. I am the maker of an instrument with an objective and an interpretation not based on personal emotions, but of and related to material object that still exists on the foundation of the earth constructed by man. On the foundation of the earth constructed and built by man is the answer to the resolution adopted to connect the waters around it, help secure the trip over to the other side of the Indian River Lagoon, to create faith and grow and increase the strength, value and strength. By lines so made to what's mentioned above is for the rule acting and governing of an official decision, the official decision made for the use of making of such ruled lines from the established practice that serves as a guide to usage with a code, the code of regulations and a declaration order made by law to solve a problem. And now that it's phase 2 of the meetings that I've come before you now, I'm ready to give you the business plan. It's regional life, hope, and direction, and the mission statement is the recurring and guiding belief of an institution of organized people who care, serve, and obey. I have 4 more pages to type out, and it'll look like this, 1 through 7. And then the second page, after you receive that, I have some more guidelines to follow to make a correct business plan. And these other 4 pages do it. And so once I give this to you, after I give this to you, the next is a bill of lading. That's a front view, a right angle view, and an aerial view, which is usually the floor plan. I'll see you on the next meeting, and I'm looking forward in getting some time alone with you, Mayor, as we planned before.
And you would need
But I just wanted to let you know that your bullying to violence packet folder that was laying on your desk when you were commissioner has turned into a folder and has a gift for you inside that's a survey of what went on during the 2 months at the cold weather shelter during Thanksgiving and Christmas when I was there for 4 days.
Okay,
And
thank you very much.
It's really truly a wonderful gift.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
Next speaker. Oh, that's not a speaker. Okay, no worries. Thank you. Oh, Ms. Sheffler, she's not a speaker, no.
Are you going loud? Tony Schiffelow, Tropic Street, the treasurer of Speak Up Titusville. I'm going to speak about comparing oranges and bananas. At the City Council meeting June 13th, the council member responded to a public statement made during petitions and requests, requesting council go ahead and listen to the voters and certify the right to clean water instead of suing Speak Up Titusville. And the response was so far off course that I was aghast in this room. The remark was so misguided, I transcribed the meeting video to get the quote correct. Quote, Right now, we have an Orange County case that says A, and we have a Brevard County case that says B, and those need to be reconciled so that we have one law as opposed to two separate laws. So that's to me, one of the big issues, so it needs to go forward. Fourth, end of quote. Yes, there are two very distinct cases with very different facts. Orange County's charter amendment focused on creating a right of waters along with a citizen's right to clean water by having the waters of Orange County protected against pollution. And it's possible that the appellate courts will overturn at least a portion, if not all, of that court's rulings. Titusville's charter amendment created a direct human right to clean water, which, as Judge Holcomb agreed, was provided for in Florida's law prior to the preemption, so the preemption doesn't reach it. Even if the amendment language was the exact same, the Orange County case is not binding case law, rather an FYI for courts to consider. Courts have the ability and the duty to look at the facts and law and come up with their own opinions. That's how jurisprudence works. The duty, job, responsibility of City Council is not to make one law out of two, but to simply ratify the will of over 82% of Titusville voters who approved an amendment to the city charter, giving the citizens the right to clean environmental waters. Period. Certify the election. Quit suing your citizens. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other speakers in petitions and requests? I think we had almost everybody. All right, City Manager.
We're on to consent agenda items, items A through J. City Council, is there any questions of staff for consent agenda items A through J?
I see no lights.
City Council, are there any consent agenda items that you'd like to pull for further consideration?
I see no lights.
City Clerk, are there any cards on consent agenda items A through J?
Yes, sir. We have one card.
Mayor, with your permission, I'd like to read the titles for the record.
Thank you.
Consent agenda item 8A, approve the Save Our Indian River Lagoon cost-sharing funding interlocal agreement, Riverfront Center nutrient removal filtration boxes. Consent agenda item 8B, approve and appropriate forfeiture funds, special investigation services. Consent agenda item 8C, approve the award of the contract for the Morning Dove 10 million gallon clarifier drive replacement. Consent agenda item 8D, approve the funding commitment for the state initiative program SHIP Affordable Housing Development Funding Commitment in the amount of $150,000. Consent agenda item 8E, approve the award of the contract cure in place liner for chemical grout joint repair for the stormwater pipes. Consent agenda item 8F, approve the award of task order for engineering services for Barnett tank demolition. Consent agenda item 8G, approve the award of task order for engineering services for the Hood Avenue Water Main Improvement Project. Consent agenda item 8H, approve the evaluation committee's final ranking for the group dental plan and COBRA administration services, RFP number 23P009TB. Consent agenda item 8I, approve the award of the contract for the South Street Lift Station number 25 rehabilitation. And consent agenda item 8J, approve the low impact development maintenance agreement for the Culvers, covenants and agreements for the Culvers project.
All right, thank you very much. Anything council wants to talk about just now? I don't see anything. Call the card, please.
One card is Stan Johnston.
Not very many people left.
Nope.
Stan Johnston, and I have some concerns about what's going on with the city, and that's why I wrote this. And this has to do with especially items C, G, and I. Those are items that I've opposed, H, C, G, and I. And all three of these have to do with expenditures of, by water resources and expended budget. And what is going on is some real nonsense, outrageous nonsense and misconduct in water resources department's been going on for years. And one of those has to do with the citywide boiled water alerts and the misrepresentation by Sean Stauffer that he excluded the 4-log virus requirement that the city of Titusville does not meet. City engineer Sean Stauffer omitted the reason why we have a citywide boiled water alert. It has to do with the 4-log virus requirement not being met. So at the last council meeting, I noticed something that was on this Florida planning and so forth. It has to do with the city of Titusville is going to do, because of this, is planning to make renovations in an expense of $4 million, which I understand is the city of Titusville council has not yet approved. It will be approved maybe for the 2024 budget. This is not the way to handle business. It isn't. The thing is that regarding this 4-log virus requirement, I've asked the city of Titusville, I've asked FDEP, what other city in the state of Florida has this problem? Said, there are cities, but they can't find an answer. Nobody in the city of Titusville, nobody in FDEP has been able to give me any other city in the city of Titusville that has this problem. $4 million. It's been going on for years and years, secretly going on, secretly. So this stinks, what this Water Resources has done. It really stinks. It's corrupt government. It's not transparency whatsoever. And you guys need to look into it, what's going on with Water Resources. The gag orders also. Gag orders on city employees, Romy Grant and other people. Water that Human Resource just ignores.
Thank you. No other cards, correct? Yes. Council, anything you want to add to this, or do we want to make a motion?
Move to approve consent agenda items A through J, 8A through 8J.
I have a motion from Member Nelson.
I'll second.
I have a second from Vice Mayor Robinson. This must make it important. Roll call vote.
Mayor Diesel?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Robinson?
Yes.
Member Stokel?
Yes.
Member Cole?
Yes.
Member Nelson?
Yes.
Consent agenda passes unanimously. City Manager.
On to ordinances, second readings, public hearings, and related actions. This is ordinance number 29-2023, White Chaffee Planned Industrial Development. The city attorney will read the ordinance for the record.
Ordinance number 29-2023, an ordinance of the City of Titusville, Florida, amending the city's land development regulations to amend standards within the Planned Industrial Development PID zoning district for specified properties within the North Brevard Industrial Park and along Chaffee Drive by amending specified permitted uses with limitations, specifically amending sections 28-54 use table, 28-97 automobile repair, 28-203 building trades services, 28-211 machine shop, 28-212 mechanical service and repair, and section 28-364 outdoor storage as an accessory use, providing for severability, repeal of conflicting ordinances, effective date, and incorporation into the code.
City Council directed staff to draft amendments to the LDRs to address potential conflicts between the city's land development regulations and the existing uses in certain areas of the city that are zoned for commercial and industrial uses. This is your first reading, this first of two public hearings. The final public hearing will be held at your regular City Council meeting on 25 July 2023 at 6:30. The Planning and Zoning Commission will consider this ordinance at their 19 July 2023 regular meeting. Mr. Parrish is here to answer any questions on this first reading of ordinance number 29, 2023.
Council, you have any questions of Mr. Parrish? I do not. I will say, having discussed this in our previous meetings, not here, but it does seem that it simply is going to allow for more industries to be involved, more diversity in the area. Would that be in a nutshell?
Well, it'll allow specifically auto repair, building trades, machine shop, and mechanical service repairs, which are allowed to be allowed in the PID zoning district, but in a certain area that is currently zoned PID on the Chaffee and Whiteway.
That's appropriate. I tend to, and we got more time to hear more, but I tend to like the opening up a little bit. Vice Mayor?
Yes, this is related to because of the ability of these types of entities, car repair and so forth, to pollute the soil.
Well, the PID zoning district doesn't specifically permit these kind of uses, or in the past, previous staff, or the city has allowed, or maybe some of these uses have been creeped or transformed from what they were originally approved. So what this ordinance is trying to do is to accommodate what has transpired in a particular area of the city. We reviewed it, we looked at the zoning district, we looked at the area, the development pattern in this particular area, and we thought that these uses were compatible with this place. So we're trying to bring some of the uses into conformance with this ordinance.
All right, thank you.
Any other things from council? All right. Yeah, this is first reading. Call card?
One card, it's Stan Johnston.
Stan Johnson, registered professional engineer, and as you know, I've been watching the city doing some things, and I've reported some things which are disturbing, and that's why please refer to this handout, City of Titusville, outrageous misconduct and incompetence. So I've read this to you. I'm going to read it again. I read it to you at the CRA meeting. These two sentences. It says, "City Council is because of these outrageous misconduct, violation of laws, and so forth." Here's what I'm summarizing and saying: due to city's outrageous misconduct and incompetence.
Stop clock. I'm looking. It's funny. This is 9A. I digressed to our conversation before. I didn't even know this was 9A. But I'd like you to talk about 9A.
Okay, I'm coming to it.
White Chaffee Industrial Park, and that I'm not.
Okay,
help me out. Help me out. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm saying. Here's what I'm saying to you: is that you should not be handling this one, this project. And I'm reading it to you from here. What it says. If you want to read it, it's that first paragraph. The last part of the paragraph. It says, due to city's outrageous misconduct and incompetence, City Council should make major corrections to city's misconduct prior to continuing any further city business by council. So what I'm saying is you should stop business until you do something about it.
Okay, that's pretty general, though.
Pardon?
It's very general. That doesn't say anything about the industrial park. Do you plan on talking about it at all?
It's saying you should stop business. Don't even consider this. You have a very pressing item right now that you're not doing. Numerous items.
So that's what you wanted to say.
Well, and then the last sentence is that, if you would read it, the last sentence of the paragraph says, I recommend and request the immediate termination of city manager for cause without pension benefit. Beg your pardon?
I'll stop the clock just out of courtesy for you, but we've already been over this. You just said this earlier, and you've read it
That was a CRA meeting.
So, okay. Well, that being said,
that's CRA meeting.
All right, but you signed up for 9A. I hope you'll say something about 9A in the next minute.
That's what I'm saying. I'm speaking about 9A right now.
No, you're not.
Yes, I am. 9A, I'm saying, do not consider it. Do not consider it. I do not even want you. I'm saying, do not even do the first reading. I'm saying you should stop now because there is so much outrageous nonsense and dishonesty within the city of Titusville. The city is saturated with it. And I'm going to give you an example soon about it, but not at this time. So I'm saying, I didn't finish the sentence. The termination of city manager for cause without pension benefits or other benefits. So this is what I'm asking you to do. And so I mentioned a number of problems that I'm not just saying this as just someone saying it. I'm an expert witness and a witness of what he's done, and I know what he's done, including fraud. And it's the city should not be operating like this, and you should take you should do it. You should stop the business and take care of it. Thank you.
Any other cards? All right. Okay. City Manager?
We're on to 9B, which is conditional use permit number 1, 2023 for 4411 South Capron, VFW outdoor storage. The city attorney will read the procedures for quasi-judicial.
During the public hearing portion of the meeting, anyone wishing to speak on this quasi-judicial item must first sign a public hearing agenda card and sign the oath contained thereon. These cards are located on the table at the entrance to the chamber. If you have photographs, sketches, or documents that you desire for the city council to consider, they must be submitted into evidence and will be retained by the city. Please submit such exhibits to the city clerk. City clerk, of all persons wishing to speak for the council, signed an oath card swearing to tell the truth, the full truth, and nothing but the truth. Yes, sir. For staff and applicant, have all witnesses that intend to speak signed an oath card, again swearing to tell the truth, the full truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
If there is anyone present who has not signed an oath card that wishes to speak on a quasi-judicial item, please submit a card at this time. City clerk, have all agenda items been properly advertised? Yes, sir. In the event that a council member has received an ex parte communication, either verbal or written, outside of the hearing, the council member shall disclose the identity of the person, group, or entity with whom the communication took place and the subject matter of the communication, including all opinions or facts discussed. Any written communication must be disclosed and made a part of the record. Also, in the event that a member has conducted an investigation or site visit or received any expert opinions regarding the quasi-judicial item, said visit or opinions shall be disclosed. If written ex parte communications exist, I'd like to verify with the applicant that they have received those items and has had the opportunity to review and is ready to proceed. So applicant, have you been provided any documents of any emails or communications that were provided to the city? Yes. You've received it? Okay. Thank you.
The applicant's requesting a conditional use permit to allow an outdoor storage as an accessory use in an existing Veterans of Foreign Wars post located at 4411 Capron Road. At the 21 July 2023 Planning and Zoning Commission, they recommended approval 5-0 with the staff recommendations, except amending condition 1 to consider landscape buffer instead of a wall or fence, and adding that the parking area be moved to the east as far as possible. Mr. Parrish is here to introduce this item. And
before you do, Mr. Parrish, I understand that there was a document provided to the applicant.
There was an email provided to us by a resident across the street from the subject property that was provided to the applicant.
Okay, and who is the individual, and was that document provided to the clerk?
The individual is Constance Ashworth, also lives on Capron Road, and we did provide copies of that email to the clerk to distribute to the council members. Council members, the agenda, or I just do want to go through real quick just what the conditions are that we're recommending. The first one is to require an opaque masonry wall or opaque fence consistent with section 28-364 of the code. The second is to ensure that there's a stabilized surface as shall be illustrated on the site plan when it is submitted to us for all areas used for outdoor storage. The third condition is that no outdoor storage is permitted within the minimum building setback of the M1 zoning district. That's 25 feet adjacent to Capron Road. And that the site plan be consistent with the landscape yards illustrated on the site plan, consistent with the landscaping requirements in Chapter 30, Article 3, Division 10 of the code, unless a variance is approved. And currently, right now, along Capron Road, there is a required 20-foot landscape buffer. The property is in the ACC, the Area of Critical Concern. They're going to have to propose a stabilized surface for an outdoor storage area. So if this conditional use permit is approved with these conditions, they will have to submit to us a site plan. The purpose of this is to allow for outdoor storage for the parking of, or the storage of RVs and boats and other vehicles. The applicant has agreed to put in an opaque fence, landscaping on the sides of this property, or on the south side of the property where this outdoor storage is going to be. There is a required 10-foot landscape strip. Again, the outdoor storage can't be within the building setback, and that's 25 feet from Capron, and then 10 feet from the side property lines. I do want to point you to page 944 of your packet, and you'll see an aerial, and that probably gives you the best representation of what's going on in this property and what they're proposing to do. They did give us a very basic drawing of where this outdoor storage is going to be located, but these conditions will help us ensure that it meets the code when they submit to us the site plan. So you'll see on page 944 of your packet, the aerial. The property is located between Capron and the railroad. You'll see the existing building and parking lot on the north half of this property, and on the south half is where they want to propose to put in the outdoor storage area. And again, that's going to require a stabilized surface. I do want you to understand that when they submit to us a site plan with the proposed stabilized surface and the other requirements, that it will have to meet the ACC requirements, and therefore they cannot exceed a certain impervious coverage requirement. So as long as they are able to meet all the site plan requirements, this can be approved. With that, I'll try to answer any questions you have.
Member Nelson.
So Brad, let me make sure I understand this. Where would the opaque fence go if I'm looking at 944?
944 being the...
Page number.
Oh, I'm sorry. Excuse me. Okay, so yeah, it would be along Capron, the opaque fence.
Okay, so would it go?
They would also have to
north?
provide an opaque fence all around.
Okay,
But then along Capron, they'll have to provide at least a 20-foot landscape buffer. But then the outdoor storage can't be within 25 feet of the building setback. So they actually, fence line, or this, where they're actually putting outdoor storage, it has to be 25 feet from Capron.
okay. And along the railroad track, would there be any landscaping or anything to deaden the sound? I sort of understand what this lady is talking about.
So the landscaping requirements would require at least some landscaping on that side as well. I'd have to defer to when we go through the site plan process to determine what that width of that landscaping yard requirement is going to be, since
Okay.
that's along the FEC Railroad.
And one of my concerns was if we're allowing this, and I'm standing at the south end, are we allowing 50 feet of storage or a certain number of parking spaces?
I don't quite understand. 50 feet, you mean from the property line?
Yeah. Or, I don't know, 75 feet. I hate to see it where, you know, you got 75% storage, and that just seems a little much to me. I'm not quite sure why
75% storage.
in
So-
that area, as opposed to parking. Is there a limit on the amount of area that can be used for storage as opposed to what can be used for parking?
They could use the whole property for outdoor storage as a use in the zoning district, as long as they also have another primary use on the property. I think the real limitations are going to be the environmental limitations, the maximum impervious coverage limitations.
Okay.
When they go through the site plan process, that's when we'll really be able to determine how much area they really can utilize for outdoor storage.
Okay. And I guess my concern is you turn around and you say, we're going to use this whole area for storage, but we have a VFW where we can park the cars.
Right, so if they decide to not if they're maxed out in the impervious coverage and they decide, well, I'm going to locate the outdoor storage somewhere else in the existing parking lot, they can't decrease their minimum number of parking spaces for the use that's primary on the property. So all of these questions will come into play during the site plan process.
Okay.
Anybody else? All right. Anything up from you? We good? So we go to,
One question.
Sure, Vice Mayor.
Yes, Constance, have her concerns been addressed? Do we know from the VFW?
Is this a question for the staff or the applicant?
By the applicant.
Well, he'll be up next.
Hmm?
The applicant will be up next.
That would be because I'm trying to find out kind of where she's located on that street.
I think some of them were remedied in the P&Z's amendments. And some we may just have to decide where to go with them.
Mm-hmm. That was the only thing that I wanted to.
Okay.
Her property is right across the street.
Right across the street is that.
It's at the northwest corner of Acorn and Capron.
She's on the west side of Capron.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
All right, let's call the applicant up. There's only one guy here who can be the applicant for VFW right now. He's got it.
There was two of us, but one had to leave.
I saw that. So now you're flying solo.
Yeah.
Name and address for the record.
Ray Gammon, 933 Robert Road, Titusville.
So do you have anything you want to say, or you just want to get some questions?
We've been down with the planners, and we agreed to move everything to the over to the railroad track. And we're
east.
The east.
East. Mm-hmm. And we're going to start from the back of the rental sheds, go north no more than 100 feet. And that's where the tower is. So if you draw a line straight from the tower over to Capron, that's the maximum we're going to be using. Okay, and we agreed to put a fence in, and then it was mentioned at the board that we're going to put a hedge in 20 feet to give that. But we agreed to everything that was said.
Yeah, from my before meeting study and everything I could gather from Mr. Parrish, it appears that you guys are trying to do everything you can to make this work and make everybody happy, at least as happy as you possibly can. I will play my card now that I tend to think that this is a worthy CUP that can be done, and if they continue to do the things they're trying to do to meet the amendments and be good neighbors, I think it can be a win-win. Vice Mayor.
Yeah, and that was my concern, and I know there's Constance was Ashworth was at the P&Z meeting, and how was that handled from the VFW and her concerns?
I'm sorry, I missed that.
Her concerns that she had mentioned, she said she had she thought a mailbox was hit, and all of those was. How did that come out? I just
starting at the top, the second paragraph down, she says that the north gate was closed, and only the south gate is open.
Right.
We never have the north gate closed because that's how we get our delivery. We don't get flatbed trucks in there. We get delivery trucks from the food companies and all that, but they go in the north gate, they unload, then they go around the parking lot, and then they go out the north gate. Mm-hmm. The south gate was only open for 3 days while we had our parking lot recovered. And that was the requirement of the company that did the recover on it. She said we backed up a flatbed rig. I've been the commander there for, well, I was the commander there. The young gentleman that left, he's the new commander. For a year, I was in office there for over 5 years, and we do not bring big equipment in there. For one thing, you can't get it turned around. If you come in the north gate, we got the whole parking lot to go around, and they can make a big swing right before the building and go out with no problem. Once in 5 years, we had a delivery truck hit our fence.
Okay. Anything else for our applicant?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I'd like to ask the applicant one question. Do you understand that approval of this will require a site plan, site development permit that may include requirement for planting of new trees, irrigation, impervious pavement, stabilized surfaces, and a stormwater treatment facility possibly?
Right, we understand that, and what we're going to do is start small and build on what we learn, and we're going to we don't have experts within the 300 members we have, so we're going to get a contractor who knows how to do that and knows the codes, and they're going to lead us down the path.
And just one follow-up question, and for the edification of the council, is that there is an expiration in order to, time limit in order to establish the use. And currently, I believe it's 4 years.
We will.
Okay. Okay. Anything else for the applicant? No? Vice Mayor, is that you or no?
No, that was.
Okay. All right, Mr. Applicant, you can sit down just for a moment, and we may need you again. I'm not sure. Call the cards, please.
Excuse me, the last card is Stan Johnston.
I think, Wanda, you already have it, the handout, the same handout.
Stan, we're going to talk about this VFW thing, or we're not going to talk. Yeah, you'll get up there and we'll talk.
I'm speaking on this subject 9B. I swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help me God. Please be advised, Mr. Diesel, that this is a quasi-judicial
I know
item.
to this, Stan, talk about 9B.
All right, quasi-judicial item, and I'm here to speak the truth.
I want to hear you speak the truth about 9B and nothing else.
I want to warn you.
The whole truth about 9B and nothing else.
Okay, please don't interrupt me. Okay,
Be
so
careful.
here's what I have written about you regarding this. It says there's been substantial prejudice against me, Stan Johnston.
Are you talking about 9B?
Yes, sir. Listen up, please. Okay, please don't take my time. Would you stop the clock?
No, I say stop the clock or it doesn't get stopped, so keep talking. Go.
Don't keep using my time on this.
You don't talk about anything you're supposed to talk about.
You're taking my time right now.
So go.
This is quasi-judicial, so don't use my time.
Go.
So here's what you're supposed to do, is that I'm telling you is that you've treated me poorly. The staff, City Hall and staff has treated me poorly. And for example, overhead projection. Other people are allowed to have overhead projection. I'm not allowed to. In this case, is Mr. Diesel, is at the last council meeting, is that you took away my time during a quasi-judicial
Stop the clock.
Yes, sir.
So you're going to talk about 9B, quasi-judicial or not, or we're going to be done. I'm going to give you one more shot to talk about this VFW CUP.
Okay.
Start
regarding
the
this project, the
Start the
VFW,
clock.
regarding this project, is that I do not have objections to it, but I do not believe that the city of Titusville should consider it. I believe that Titusville should stop operations until you terminate this guy who's been a
Stop the
shyster.
clock. You know the rules. You can't keep repeating the same thing over and over. You've said that 5 times in this meeting, ish.
Mr.
So
Diesel.
I'm going to tell you right now, We're going to talk
I'm going
about
to tell
this,
you
or
right
we're
now,
gonna be
too.
done.
You should
Start the
recuse
clock.
yourself. You should
Start
recuse
the
yourself.
clock. You got about
for-
5 seconds to get
If
on
you
this
can't-
topic.
If you have to continue to silence me and during a quasi-judicial feeling, you should recuse yourself
Have you
and have
said
somebody
anything
else.
about this topic at all?
I certainly did. Didn't
What do you
you
think?
hear what
What
I
do
said?
No, tell me.
Okay,
Tell
why
me
don't you
what it
stop the
was.
clock?
Tell me what it was.
Okay, I said that I do not have objection to this project. Did you hear that?
I did hear that.
All right, then what did you say? I did not say anything about it.
Because you couldn't stay on that. You went off on.
No, I'm not. I'm staying on the same subject because you're drifting from the
Go ahead.
subject.
Go ahead. Let me
The
see if you
subject
finish
is that
finish it off.
if you want to interrupt me, if you want to take my time away, you should recuse yourself. And you know what recuse means?
Stop the clock. If you want to talk about the topic, I'll never have to say a word. The only time we get in any kind of discussion is when you don't talk about this and you go somewhere else. So I'm going to say one more time, because before we get done with this life, you're going to understand that when you sign up for something on an agenda, you talk about that. Instead, you talk about everything but that. I mean, we won't go into
You're
everything
not
else.
the judge and jury.
So
here.
I'm going to tell you that I'm running the meeting. And when you watch all these other people come up, they talk about what they say they're going to talk about. One day you're going to do that.
Okay,
Start
if you're going to run the meeting, what I'm telling you is that if you wanted to go ahead and interrupt me while I'm making a quasi-judicial hearing, you're out of order. You're out of order and you should recuse yourself. You should step down. That's what I'm saying to you. I put it down here in writing, but I have no objections against this. I have objections that you continue to do business in spite of Mr. Larice, who's been nothing but a shyster and a fruitcake.
You said that before, too.
I said that, and I've said it
Repeating
before.
yourself.
I didn't say anything about a
You're not allowed
fruitcake
to
until
do
just
that.
now.
See, breaking the rules.
For this meeting.
See?
So you guys are fools for letting him continue.
All right,
Thank
gotcha.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you. God bless you.
Yep. Anything else? Member Nelson?
Move to approve conditional use permit number 1-2023, 4411 South Capron Road with the conditions outlined by planning and zoning and staff.
Second motion.
I have a motion and a second by the same people every time.
Before we vote, can we clarify what is the conditions? Because I know plan and zoning had
Yeah, it would be good to put on.
considerations, but I'm real clear on what the conditions are, because we heard about moving things to the east and 100 feet. So if you could please clarify the conditions so we can put them in the order.
So just about the P&Z's condition, I think it's already addressed in the conditions that staff has presented. So here are the conditions again. That an opaque fence, or an opaque masonry wall or opaque fence consistent with section 28-364. 2, a stabilized surface shall be illustrated on the site plan for all areas used for outdoor storage. 3, no outdoor storage is permitted within the minimum building setbacks of the N1 zoning district. And 4, landscape yards shall be illustrated on the site plan consistent with the landscaping requirements in Chapter 30, Article 3, Division 10 of the Code, unless a variance is approved.
Does that cover the discussion about the items were supposed to be moved to the east? I don't want to paraphrase, but there were some questions about where the items were going to be.
So that items being moved to the east or closer to the FEC still have to be required to meet the setback and landscaping requirements adjacent to that property line. So if they decide to move their outdoor storage area further to the east and not so much towards Capron, it just has to be within that envelope that's established by these conditions that are referencing the code requirements for setbacks and for landscape buffers.
So are you happy with the way we've outlined these conditions? Do we need to do anything else?
Motion-wise.
I don't believe so. Our staff's recommendation is these 4 conditions. Now,
Okay.
the applicant wants to shift things further east towards the FEC. If it's going to encroach into a setback or into a landscape yard, I don't think they'd have to go through a variance for that.
Okay.
So these conditions will allow them to go up. They can move it anywhere within that envelope, basically.
Okay. Then my motion stands.
I have a motion by Member Nelson. I believe I have the second. What's your name down there? Member Cole?
Yeah.
Roll call vote.
Vice Mayor Robinson,
Yes.
Member Stokel?
Yes.
Member Cole?
Yes.
Member Nelson? Yes. Mayor Diesel?
Yes. Motion passes unanimously, and with that, I would like to take a 5-minute recess for obvious reasons. All right, thank you all for returning from the recess. City Manager.
We're on to new business, which is item 12A. This is the Public Works rate reviews. And what we're asking for is council to approve these rates tentatively as we go through the budget process.
Okay, thank you. Is there a presentation with this or no?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir. We have a presentation. We are changing up a little bit this year now that we are no longer a water resource department or public works department has absorbed them as a mid-year. So we're bringing a full rate review that's all of our enterprise funds. And we have a comparison of all the utility rates rolled together as well. So a little different. We're gonna review water, sewer, solid waste, and stormwater. Then, like I said, we have a combined review just to show you an idea of what the impact is on everyone's bottom line. So just looking back over the last year for water and wastewater, as I realize I'm clicking this, it's still up there. Operating revenues are up about 10% over 5 years, but our expenses are up a little around 14.4. Both base rates are up 8 1/4 over that time period. And just giving you for reference, CPI, the general CPI is up around 19, water, sewer, and trash, which is a separate item, 17.5, and the urban wage earners, which is what Social Security uses, around 19 for the last 5. So our operating expenses outpaced our revenue during this time, and our rates have fell behind CPI pretty substantially. Just the last 12 months, we've seen our revenues are up around 2%, and our operating expenses up closer to 6%. And again, CPI during that period, around 4, 5, 5.7 in the water sewer, 3.6 for Social Security. The next month's rate comes out tomorrow, I believe. Just to recap the rate projections that came through in the last rate study by Rafe Tillis were 3s for the next 3 years of 5 and 27, and 2028 is to be determined. That'll be determined during this rate study that's ongoing this year. They'll project out the 5th year and any revisions to the other 4. So just to give you an idea, we're proposing a 3% rate increase, which is what was proposed in the projections last year on the base rate and the usage rates. So on a residential impact, 3% on the water and sewer side completely with I think we use 5,000 gallons is around $3 a month, $32 a year is the impact to a homeowner. That includes the service tax imposed on the water, which is 10%. So just to give you a comparison, this is comparable to all the Broward County cities that provide the same services and some of our cities that are in the rate study for water and sewer that also provide, that aren't the water-only utilities. So a couple new Smyrna Beach utilities, OUC, Toho, I think are in that study that don't provide other services.
Now, these rates are pre their adjustments.
Yeah,
so these are the current rates and our rates and then our adjusted rates.
Yeah, and I'll let you know, because I looked today, Cocoa released that they're going up 4%. So we're proposing 3, they're going to 4 on water sewer. So if you're running out, the average of all these cities was 87, excluding ourselves, about 5.5. But we're about midpoint of everyone of all these residential water and sewer for the typical residents. Also compared to a small commercial, which would be closer to a 5,000 gallon commercial usage. Again, the 3% yields about a $3.30 per month, a little less than $40 per year. We're a little on the higher end, but this is also the usage rate structure is built to try to limit heavy users. So we try to conserve water, so the rate structure increases as you use water, and the commercial has a little higher rate impact. So you get into large commercial, which is a 50,000 gallon user, they would see a $23 increase and a little less than $300 on the year. Again, rate structure built for conservation. These heavy water users pay a heavier price for that heavy water usage. So just to give you an idea of some major upcoming items that we have for water sewer, we do have PFAS testing this month. We expect to have the results in the next month. That will be a future impact that's yet to be determined with that if there are any needs to change the system. We also are going through lead service line inventories required by EPA by next year. By the end of next year, again, could have an impact. If we find lead service lines, we'll have to address replacing the lead service lines. Morning Dove has some major projects forthcoming, filter replacements on the system, the enhanced water quality, which is the 4-log compliance, and cup improvements to area 2 and 3, which is our conditional use on the well fields. Blue Heron and Osprey wastewater treatment plants also have some projects rehabbing the West Treatment Train at Blue Heron, replacing the reuse pump system at Blue Heron, and both plants will be starting their renewal process. So shifting gears a little bit to solid waste. During the same 5-year time, our revenues are up about 15%, but our expenses rose about 26%. Rates we proposed higher at that time, so we're closer to 15% on both resident and commercial increases. Again, the same CPI comparisons. The last year, we've seen revenues fairly flat, but our expenses have grown nearly 20%. Solid waste is a very fuel-driven enterprise. We run through a lot of diesel, a lot of truck repairs. So 5-year projected rate increases for solid waste be 9.5 for next year, with 4s to follow. On the refuse side, recycling is projected at 14%. That number would bring recycling to fully funding itself at the end of a time-year period, where currently is a major cost loss. And then the rental rates are, we have a 20% proposal with 10s to follow. That is stepping, at that formulation, we would not catch up to the county in that 5-year period, which was kind of the benchmarking. So to show the residential impact of 9.5% increases is $2 per month, including the franchise fee, and $20 per year for solid waste services on the residential. Residential comparison, again, current year rates. We won't know projections, proposals till in the future. I do know Cocoa is 3 on their assessment. They pay a hauler, so I'm not sure the final cost breakdown, but that's what they are right now. They're already above us. We're still about middle of the pack. We are a little over 1% below the average of all the current cities around there. And I would suspect you'll see, as other waste haulers are renegotiating contracts, their costs will start to inflate too. Small commercial, the same small commercial we use for water, used for solid waste, they would see a $15 impact, a little less than $180 per year, all inclusive, recycling and rental included. Again, commercial, we are middle of the pack, about 13% below the average of all the comparables. So large commercial, which would be in our case a 4-yard dumpster collected 3 times a week, they would see a $31 impact monthly, a little over $370 per year on all lines. And the large commercials, we are at the lower end of the scale, about 16% below the average of all the comparable cities. So the last utility we look at is stormwater. Stormwater operating revenue down about 4%. We get grants. They fluctuate in amount of money we receive each year, so that goes up and down. But our operating expenses have grown greatly to nearly 60% increase. So during that same 5-year, our rates have gone up about 30%. So we have outpaced CPI in the rate structure to keep up with the growing expenses. The last year, our revenues still a little down overall, but our expenses are up about 10%. To catch up on building the reserves and bringing the fund into a better place to continue a capital program, we are looking to raise rates about 16% in the next year, followed by projected 13.5%. We hope that we can get that down in the future and tapering down as the years progress. So the rate impact of a 16% rate increase to your homeowner is $1.32 per month or $16 per year. And that's for no credits, and because it is a tax assessment, if you don't pay it early, that's a fully loaded assessment. So just from a ERU comparison, we are middle of the pack, sliding up a little bit. I know Coco's, they're up 4.5% next year with projections for more. And looking through theirs, they have similar problem that capital funding is starting to get difficult to manage. So they have a kind of a target of 2027 when they need to take higher rate increases to keep their capital programs going. So just want to give an update too, kind of the hot button item. Sandy ran these numbers this week, the BMAP status for the city. Just a summary for nitrogen and phosphorus, the target's set around 40,000 for nitrogen, around 7,000 for phosphorus. As of now, we're at roughly 68% on nitrogen and 76% on phosphorus. keeping in mind the target is 2035, so we still have 12 years to make up that difference. With all the grants recently provided by DEP and ARPA and all of our stormwater funded projects, we can raise the TN to 82% and TP to 94%. And the last column would, the Osprey BNR credit is not online yet by DEP. It's got monitoring that has to take place before it will get its credit. If that and stormwater comes through as projected, denitrogen is 112% satisfied at that point, with phosphorus at 94%. And that's with just funded projects and the Osprey BNR project coming online. So that would all works out in that expected the nitrogen goals will be met at that point. Doesn't mean we'll stop doing water quality projects, just mean at that point the city's satisfied the required goal to be met as it sits today. Yeah. Just bouncing back to the nuts and bolts of the rates, this is just a comparison of the typical residential rate all rolled together. It rolls to a combined 4.94% increase for all lines, which equates to a little less than $6 per month and annually of $67.70 to supply all utilities to the residents of a typical home. So as we roll those together, this is again the comparison. Obviously, all these rates are really close together, so I suspect as others move up, they will also slide and we will stay in the middle of the pack for the utility rate structure. Small commercial, again, the comparison, just to give it to you, we stay in the middle of the pack and the small commercials all roll together. And large commercial, we're at the top end, but again, that's mainly driven by the desire to conserve water by putting higher rates on the high water users. Just recap some next steps. Water sewer will come back through the rate consultant, Rafe Tillis, during the budget process. They will present the entire rate projections and the more detailed comparison of water sewer rates, including a look at the capital funding plan. Solid waste will come back during the budget hearings for rate ordinance approvals, and the stormwater assessments have public hearings to be brought forth. I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions from council? I'll be honest with you, there's so much there, I'm not sure what to ask. I think this is going to take some research just to decide what I need to ask. There certainly are some percentages that look higher than others, and I thought about I'll ask this, but at the same time, some of the percentages that are really high are based off of low numbers. And so I think you want to look that over further. I will say it does look to me like we're doing all we can to keep us low and competitive. It looks like every graph and chart shows that we are not on the high end anywhere. We pretty much fit in the middle, if not better. So I appreciate the effort, but I would be the first to tell you that it would take me some more analysis to be able to ask proper questions, but I bet you Member Nelson can.
Yeah, Mayor, we have chosen to pull all these together because what we had done in the past is bring you water.
Yeah, no, I like them that way.
We bring you solid waste.
I like it.
So we wanted to give you the big picture and the total package at one presentation. There's a lot of material, but we think it's a better presentation this way.
Oh, I do. I think it'd be one I want to lay out and take a little time with and get some hard copies like Vice Mayor.
I love hard
Member Stokel.
Yep. Thank you, Kevin. And just to clarify, we will go through this again during the budget process. This is just to give us a kind of a taste of what's to come to start thinking about.
Yeah, the only real one is stormwater at this point, because stormwater does have a notice that will go out and come back for public hearing. So that one will be a notice out to the public that this is proposed rate.
Okay.
Notice of the public hearing that will be held to hear this again. The others run the budget. They run hand in hand with the budget, but because stormwater is an assessment, it has an earlier deadline to get to the tax collector.
Okay, thank you.
So what is it we need to do right now exactly? What is it you need from us?
Is there anything that stands out that you'd like to take us to take a further look at prior to the budget process or the stormwater assessment mailouts?
I think we've got to, when our expenses are higher than our revenue, I mean, this is what we have to do.
Yeah, the one that stands out for me, and this plays off of your point there, solid waste trends. I think that is 13. Operating revenue up 15.35. Operating expense up 26.07. That's the slide that stood out to me. I thought I might comment on it. And I thought, well, really, it's the operating revenue is nothing we can do. Operating expense, residential rate, that's the one that people will look at mostly, 14.9. But I think that number was small. That went up 14.9. Commercial rate 14.7. CPI all items 18.76, and CPI water, sewer, trash plus 17.45. CPI used for Social Security 19.41. I think those numbers might get the people to open their eyes a little bit, but I think when you look at them closer, they're, first of all, operating expense. And we have no control over operating expenses, up 26%. And so the rest of that pretty much plays off of that. So that's just kind of something I'd throw out there that opens my eyes, so I know we'll open the private sector's eyes, or those who aren't here. So I just think we'll need to be able to explain those things, which is easily done.
And Council, if you'd like a hard copy, because this is a lot of information, and we are going into the budget cycle, we'll provide that to you.
I would. That would be one I'd want to sit and go over a little bit like Vice Mayor. Your hard copies.
Oh, yeah. May I?
Yes, absolutely.
Kevin, I ask you this question, I think, every time we go around here, and I know it's that it's about the fluctuation of fuel costs.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that that's difficult to work in your budget in the overall sense. Explain to us again, and because I love the answer that you gave me I just don't remember it. But I know you did well in explaining that to us last year, how you balanced that out, because 1 year it may be here and the next year it may be there. Share with us, if you would, if you can kind of grab that from all of that you're sharing with us today.
Yeah, so when we project fleet costs in general, I look back the last 3 years as an average, but also look at the current year to make sure what we propose will cover the current year's expenses. So it's a little bit, in past years, the 3-year average looked well because fuel didn't get out of hand. Diesel, for one, hasn't come back down. It got up and it stayed up. Really hasn't, and unleaded has been very similar recently. The trend is it stays up a lot longer than it goes up quickly and it stays there before it gradually comes down. So diesel's been a driving force, but we look at a trending of what we're expending, then we look to make sure we're covering our current year and a projected increase. So that's how we do fuel and parts, and really fleet bounces both. Neither one are really easily to predict, because solid waste trucks, when they get damaged, they're $25,000 to repair a door. So when they go down for $200,000 worth of repairs, it's a big hit that you didn't plan for, much like the fire trucks, that they have damages. It's a cost that you look good one day and the next week you got 5 trucks in Orlando waiting to get fixed. So that's a lot of the cost drivers we've seen is a lot of fleet driven items. I think solid waste usually runs about well over $1 million in fleet costs every year. The highest expense in the city for fuel and parts. So that's one of our biggest ones. We did have purchases come in. They also create a challenge that we buy a truck. It takes 2.5 years to deliver that truck. So that's a long time in which that expense didn't show up. And then all of a sudden now the $800,000 worth of deliveries come in. So good and bad. It's good new trucks, and then the heavy expense hits. So,
Thank you. I ask you that because this, for me, it reminds me how well you're doing and trying to make it all work. And it also, our viewers in the audience can understand it's just not something you go home and lay in bed and say at night that you're going to put this number there and that number there. It's a thought process that you go through.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
In the lead time on, Kevin said 2 years on getting a truck. When years before COVID, it was 6 to 8 months. So we're extending the life of vehicles that cost us more to maintain those vehicles while we're waiting for the new vehicle to replace it.
All right, that's-
All right, and you're done over there. Anybody else have any comments or input to Kevin? With that, I guess we're just giving input.
Yeah, the actual action for stormwater would be when they come back for budget hearings.
All right, so we don't need to vote on anything or anything like that? So this is just input. Stan, I don't think we need to call a card, do we? Vice Mayor, do we need to call a card?
Yeah, absolutely.
We didn't vote on anything.
We're looking for direction because we want the rates out.
Is that because Stan's out there?
That's right. I've got input.
Stan, you got a card?
I have cards, sure, certainly, of course I do. One that says yes.
Stan, I'm kidding, relax.
Okay, all right, so here's some questions I have. This is regards to enterprise funds. So the question to Mr. Cook is, those things which are not enterprise funds, does that include paving and maintenance of pavement? Is that not enterprise?
Correct, that's a general fund expense.
Okay. Can you give me some ideas, anything else in general fund other than paving and maintenance that you have?
For public works?
Yeah. You have-
Facilities maintenance, street maintenance, engineering, administration.
Okay, all right, that's good. Okay, now you mentioned, I may have misheard what you said. I thought you said something about lead service lines. Is that what you said?
Yes, I highlighted that one of the current priority projects of the water sewer infrastructure is the review of lead service potential. So EPA mandates by October 24, all cities must have an inventory of lead and service potential, meaning that if you don't know the service line is not lead, you have to demonstrate that it is not lead. Otherwise, it has to be put on priority replacements. So,
Do we have any lead service lines?
not that we're aware of, but we're required by EPA to verify
Okay.
anything
All
built
right.
prior
That
to
answers-
1989.
That's answered the question, because as far as I know, we don't have any lead service lines. All right, that's my concern about what's going on as far as expenses is that just in this agenda here, we got about over a $500,000 for water resources in a consent agenda, and we've got $5 million in B, C, D, and E. And then we got another $4 million with our four-log virus. That's $9 million. How in the world are we going to pay for this $9 million? Wow. I don't know how we're going to do it. It looks like to me that, our federal government is up to the trillions and trillions of dollars in debt, and they keep giving us money and so forth, and I don't know how we're going to make it. So anyhow, good luck. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And City Manager.
On to, again, on new business, this is item 12B, which is the award of contract for the construction of the Osprey Water Reclamation Facility effluent screen. And staff is recommending that you approve contract bid number 23B032L R to L7 Construction of Longwood, Florida, for the Osprey Water Reclamation Facility effluent screen project in the amount of $1,785,900 to include the base bid and the alternate bid. Item 6, approve the necessary budget amendments and authorize the mayor to execute the contract. Staff's available to answer any questions that you may have on this project.
For those out there, and this is certainly something we discussed in our meeting, we are spending a lot of money, as I had said earlier in the discussion. These three items are very pro water treatment. This particular one is construction for Osprey Water Reclamation Facility. Very happy that that's the case, but again, I think it would be good to explain how we are funding that $1.78 million. I just think it's a wise thing to, put out there, as people will certainly want to know.
Yeah, so this project is funded by the sewer rates. This is no grants, no loans. This is a pure rate funded project.
Okay, will this be a timed thing, meaning will there be a financing timeline?
No, sir. This is funded by the balance of the fund now.
So we do a 5-year capital plan, and that's what the rate consultant will talk about when we come into the budget process. This was part of the budget already approved in the capital plan.
Very well done. Very important. I'll say it again, Osprey Water Reclamation Facility. Council, Vice Mayor?
Yes, Kevin, as I went through, I have one question, and I know that, putting out the bid, explain to me the difference between the base bid item and the alternate bid items. I didn't get, as I looked through it, I couldn't get a good understanding of that.
Yeah, I'll let Ashley, since she stayed here for this purpose, I'll let
I
Ms. Smith,
saved that for
the city
Ashley.
engineer, can answer this one.
Thank you for being here, Ashley.
Of course. So the base bid item 6, the alternate bid item 6 is actually cleaning of our brand new Osprey BNR tank. And so in order to install this new screen, which is ahead of that treatment process, you have to go into bypass mode, which means the raw wastewater is going to go straight into our brand new BNR tank. So things like rags and debris are going to collect in there. And so it's important that we clean that out because our mixers in that new tank could break. So that was added later after discussions with our engineer, and that's why it was an alternate bid item, but we found it to be critical to include that.
Okay, now, understood that. Now, but when you put this out for bid, one of your two lower bid, one was high on the base bid and low on the alternate bid, and the other one was included all in the base bid and not but a little in the alternate bid. I didn't and the one that kind of came out on top was the one that basically had the higher alternate bid and the lower base bid. Am I saying that correctly?
Yes. So
that's the one that came out when I saw that.
If you add the base bid and the alternate bid items for the two bids, then L7 is still overall the lower.
I agree.
And so the detailed breakdown for the second bidder was basically they were saying their cleaning services were going to be significantly cheaper. I can say when we did the Osprey project, we had to do some tank cleaning as part of that project, and the costs were much higher than the $82,000 that the second bidder was proposing. So I would almost question that value, and it could be that they were just putting more cost into their base bid instead.
Yeah, they were just kind of trying to pull the wool over your eyes there a little bit. All right, those are the two things that as I went through it, I came up with that.
All right, any other comments or questions? All right, I see none. Thank you very much. Appreciate it, City Manager.
Well, we'll need to approve it.
Oh, we have to approve that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so now we're back to the
Call
approving.
cards, yeah.
I just give you my feelings about it. I like it a lot.
If I may, I will make the motion if
We have a card.
you have a card.
Yeah, we got a card. Okay, call the card, please.
Stan Johnston.
Stan Johnston, professional engineer. I'm concerned in how we're going to pay for this. Is this going to be, are we borrowing money, bonding it, or what?
Okay, go ahead. I just asked that question.
No,
I'm
sir,
asking the question.
As we already answered this question a moment ago, this is funded through the already built rate structure.
What?
This is already funded within the rate structure of.
Okay, I heard that, but that doesn't, I don't think that answers whether you're borrowing the money.
No, correct. I did respond that we're not bonding or borrowing money to complete this project.
It's going to be just pay for it from the rate structure.
Yes.
Wow, that's incredible.
That's good stuff.
That is incredible. Yeah.
That's why I asked that same question. I had the same concern.
Yeah, okay, so, my concern is that, water resources, their history of bungling and bungling. So, hopefully this is not one of the same type of issues that water resources is continuing as what Mr. Stauffer has done, the bungling. Thank you.
Thank you. Any of the cards? Okay, I've already given my opinion. We got all the cards. Now it's time to get a motion. Don't mess it up.
I make the motion to approve the award of the contract for the bid number 23B032LR2 L7 Construction Inc. out of Longwood.
Second.
Do we need the amount?
Yes. And the amount of $1,785,900.
I have a motion by.
And keep going.
And to include the base bid, and alternate bid in item 6, approve the necessary budget amendment and authorize the mayor to sign it, to execute the contract.
Second. Second.
I have a motion by Vice Mayor and a second by Member Stokoe, which has confused me greatly.
Yep.
Roll call vote.
Member Stokel?
Yes.
Member Cole?
Yes.
Member Nelson? Yes. Mayor Deason?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Robinson?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously. City Manager.
On to item 12C, which is the award of the contract for the Blue Heron Water Reclamation Facility Effluent Screen Construction Project. Staff is recommending that you approve the contract bid 23B033LR to Florida Design Contractors of Lake Park, Florida, for the Blue Heron Water Reclamation Facility Effluent Screen Project construction in the amount of $736,690, and approve the necessary budget amendments and approve the project creation and authorize the mayor to execute the contract upon review and approval of staff.
Thank you very much. Kevin, same funding?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. I applaud you and staff for being ahead of the curve on that, to have that funded in that way. I appreciate that very much. I also appreciate that this is a Blue Heron Water Reclamation Facility project, and I think that's awesome. With that, anything else from council? I see none. Call the card, please.
Stan Johnston?
Stan Johnson, registered engineer. And you have this handout for me. It talks about outrageous misconduct and incompetence, and my request for the immediate termination of city manager for cause.
You already talked about that.
And exactly. In other words, what I'm saying is you should discontinue all business until you take care of these businesses. In other words, especially problems with the Water Resources Department, which I have enumerated here, some of those, and which including the sewage spills, sewage spray, turning the fountains off, so forth, and some special issues is gag orders, and my inability is that, for example, I made complaints against through
Stop clock. Stan, I know you disagree with me, but I get to decide. You're not talking about 12C anymore. Get back to 12C
water
for me.
resources.
Well, you're talking about something that happened 3 years ago. You're not talking about the Blue Heron Water Reclamation Facility, $737,000 project.
And you're not talking about questions that I've asked.
No. You signed up for this part of the agenda. I didn't.
Yeah, and so what I'm saying is you should stop it. You should.
So here you go. Talk about it
I'm
now.
right here. I'm protesting.
Start the clock.
And I'm okay. Is that I'm sharing with you is that the city of Titusville should not continue business until you take care of these
And you've said that.
pressing
so
issues.
You can't keep saying the same thing over. You have said that 5
I'm
times.
saying it on this one. I'm saying on this one
And
because it's a big item. And the last item that I went ahead and I didn't complain about going on, is that this is horrible, the outrageous misconduct that I tell you what, it's not just the city manager, but it's our city council members.
Yeah.
They are heavily involved in this. You're heavily involved in the nonsense and the dishonesty that's coming from the city of Titusville. So I'm saying is that what you need to do, I'll just close it real quick. You'll need to do is first of all, I recommend to you to terminate the guy who's
All right,
been
we're
a
done with that.
shyster and
Stan, you've talked about this already, so go ahead and have a seat. We're good, thank you. Have a seat, we're done.
Okay, I'm going to sit down, but I'm going to do it unwillingly.
Under duress, but if you could ever talk about the thing you signed up for, this would be great.
Oh,
Have a seat.
they're even standing up now.
Have a seat.
Okay, you
All
guys.
right, let's go. There are no more cards. Go.
Move to approve the award of a contract for bid number 23B033LR to Florida Design Contractors of Lake Park, Florida, for the Blue Heron Water Reclamation Facility Influent Screen Project Construction Project.
I have a motion from Member Nelson.
Second.
We're back in order now. I have a second from Member Cole.
Hold on 2 seconds.
I'm sorry.
Mayor, hold on 2 seconds. We
Yeah,
have
go
to
ahead.
approve the necessary budget amendment,
There you go.
approve the project creation, and authorize you to sign the contract upon review and approval of staff.
Okay, now we have the correct motion.
Second.
Member Cole has a correct second. Roll call vote.
Member Cole?
Yes.
Member Nelson? Mayor Diesel?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Robinson?
Yes.
Member Stokel?
Yes.
Passes unanimously. City Manager.
On to 12D, which is the award of the contract for the Morning Dove Water Treatment Plant Carbon Dioxide Plant Tank Replacement. Staff is recommending that you approve the contract bid number 23B008LR to SDV Services of Titusville, Florida, for the Morning Dove Treatment Plant Carbon Dioxide Tank Replacement Project in the amount of $1,148,000, and approve the necessary budget amendment and authorize the mayor to execute the contract upon review of city staff.
Thank you very much. Kevin, I'll just go ahead and start off like I have, similar or same funding.
Yes.
Yeah, again, well thought out. I appreciate that very much, Vice Mayor.
Yeah, I just have one question. Is it odd that you sent the bid out to 17 vendors and only one responded? Is that odd?
This particular piece of equipment has one primary vendor in Florida that deals it, and they're the subcontractor to this contractor. So I think while a lot of them looked at it, only one vendor got the subcontractor that actually deals this system. So that's the bidder we got. And actually, by having one bidder, we were able to negotiate a price reduction from the original bid, which is included in the attachments, that they reduced their price. As being the lone bidder, we were able to negotiate down $50,000 from their original cost.
All right, thank you.
Anything else from council? All right, call the card, please,
Dan
on
Johnston?
12D. Morning Dove Water Treatment Plant.
This is the Morning Dove. Yes, that's what you said. It's over $1 million. And I object for the city to consider this in the business because the city has been negligent in correcting misconduct, outrageous misconduct, and incompetence by the city of Titusville, which I presented in this paper. So I'm asking again, is that making a recommendation and request the immediate termination of the city manager for cause without pension benefits or other benefits. And I've written to you is because these major corrections need to be addressed prior for council to consider any further business. It's a serious matter that the city is not taking care of. And just like we have this person who was in the river, and it says that he's maybe paralyzed from the sewage spill. So there's a lot of things that are happening and a lot of dishonesty that's happening that has gotten right into city council about it. Because our city manager, he has closed doors. This is unbelievable. I've been here for many years.
All
and
right, stop the
I've never
clock.
seen
You
this happen.
stop. You haven't really said anything about Morning Dove water treatment. I know you're going to say you did, but I'm going to let you talk about this, how you feel about it, and if you can't do that, we'll be done. So, Morning Dove water treatment plant, take 2. Start the clock.
So, I don't know. I guess one question I would ask is that, has this got to do anything with the four-log virus?
No, this is part of primary treatment already in place on the plant. Been there since the design of the plant.
Primary treatment. Primary treatment doesn't, so in other words, primary treatment has nothing to do with four-log virus.
Stan, this is part of the system for the plant operation as it sits today.
Okay.
The enhanced
That's
water
what I'm
treatment
asking.
is a proposed project forthcoming.
Okay,
So
all right.
This is an existing piece of equipment sitting at the plant today.
Okay, and so it's not also, it wasn't presented on this, what you did on the, just recently when you went over budgeting, the enterprise funding.
No, because this is already existed funded project.
This one we're talking about right now is the existing funding.
Yes.
Okay, all right. So, I don't think I have any comments about it, but I really think that what you should do is just what I said, is it because of this guy being so dishonest and dishonorable.
Gotcha.
Shame on
Thank
you
you.
guys. Okay.
Any other card? I knew that by looking out there, unless you guys have cards. All right. Kevin, you good? Anything else for us? No? All right. Motion?
Move to approve the award of contract for bid number 23B008 LR SDV Services of Titusville for the Morning Dove Water Treatment Plant Carbon Dioxide Tank Replacement Project. Approve the necessary budget amendment and authorize the mayor to execute the contract upon review and approval of staff.
I have a motion from Member Nelson.
Second.
I have a second from Member Cole. Roll call vote.
Member Nelson? Yes. Mayor Diesel?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Robinson?
Yes.
Member Stokel?
Yes.
Member Cole?
Yes.
Passes unanimously. City Manager.
On to item correction 12E. This is advisability to amend and repeal the Code of Ordinances, Section 11379, solicitation in the rights of way. Consider advisability for staff to repeal or amend Section 11379 of the Code of Ordinances, solicitations on the rights of way, and utilize the Brevard County Ordinance 2022-12 to prohibit persons from interfering and impeding the safe and efficient movement of vehicular traffic. City Attorney is here to answer any questions that you may have on this solicitation.
Anybody have any questions of the City Attorney? I don't have any of those. I would say I feel that the quick answer to this one is to follow Brevard County's ordinance or law and, play off of that and go from there. I certainly don't look to the repeal as being a good idea. So I kind of just threw it out there as how I feel about it.
To repeal it would allow you to come under the county ordinance.
Okay, so that would be, we repeal it to come under the county.
We're repealing our
Okay, I
ordinance
thought it
and
was
falling
either
under.
or. I'm sorry, I thought we come under. What I want to do is I want to come under the Brevard County law.
Sure, we currently have a code that prohibits the interaction of pedestrians with motor traffic for safety reasons. And that was modeled after Florida Statutes 316.2045. And the language of solicitation was heavily used in there, talking about the interaction. Since that statute was modified to remove a lot of that language, our ordinance would also need to be modified accordingly. After the statute was modified, Brevard County adopted their own revised ordinance prohibiting the interaction between motorists and pedestrians interfering with traffic for safety reasons. And when they did, the county ordinance is adopted to apply county-wide. including within the municipalities. However, if a city has its own ordinance, their own ordinance will control other than the county. So if, rather than revising our current ordinance, if staff gives us the direction, which I believe is the recommendation of the chief of police and the city manager, if we repeal our ordinance, we'll allow the county ordinance now to control within the city. And the county ordinance prohibiting persons from interfering or impacting the safe and efficient movement of vehicular traffic, that can be enforced either by TPD or through the sheriff's office. So if council provides that advisability tonight, we will come back to you with an ordinance repealing the city's current ordinance, and we will fall under the county.
So the first thing we need to do is repeal. Okay.
If that's the council's direction to repeal, then we will not come back with a revised ordinance. We'll come back with an ordinance repealing.
Okay, it's not even 10:30, and I'm thinking I got two separate things here. What I have to do is go step by step. And we want to, because ultimately I'd like to end up with the Brevard County ordinance.
Right, then if that's council's direction, then you would do a motion providing me advisability to come back with an ordinance repealing our solicitation. And that would then put us under the county ordinance.
Member Nelson?
I read the county ordinance. I like it better than our ordinance.
I do too.
I actually like it better than a state statute. So I would say repeal our ordinance and let the county ordinance stand.
I just had it backwards. I was just going to go straight to the county ordinance and leave ours there. Vice Mayor, were you going to say something?
No, I'm just going to second what you said.
Okay. With that, call the card.
Stan Johnston.
Not very many people here. The only thing I have concern for is that I see very few people hitchhiking, and I believe it should not be prohibited by law. I don't see that we have that big of a problem. I'm sure that when there's a lot of traffic, it can be a problem, but that's it, because I just think hitchhiking should be allowed. Thank you.
Okay, with that, I'd say any other cards, but I got it. Motion, please. Member Nelson, would you like to do that?
Motion to advise staff to repeal section 11-379 of the Code of Ordinances so that we can utilize Brevard County Ordinance 2022-12.
We good?
Second.
We good? Okay, and I have a second, motion from Member Nelson, second from Member Stokel, which really is not very weird. So with that said, roll call vote.
Mayor Diesel?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Robinson?
Yes.
Member Stokel?
Yes.
Member Cole?
Yes.
Member Nelson?
Passes unanimously. We roll into second petitions and requests. We have no one here eligible for that. So we move into the mayor's report. I do have a couple things. One of them is, and first of all, it's only 9:45, so you can listen to them now. First thing I want to say, Member Stokel, I need you to clarify for me so I can say it. You received an honor yesterday, and I'm not quite sure what it was. At the League of
you.
Cities.
Yep. So every year, the Florida League of Cities will recognize individuals from around the state for the Home Rule Hero Award for their efforts regarding advocacy at the state level for local control. And so I was recognized for getting one of those awards last night. So thank you. I forgot about that.
It was a bigger deal than that because 200 people, and 5 of them, I think, went up who earned that. And I would say that I think we all, when I'm sitting there and I like to take my wife to these events, and Vice Mayor Joe over there, he sits with us, and it's really nice. It's a nice night out. But at the same time, I said to her, this is going to be Member Stokel. It's got to be Member Stokel. Well, they went about 2 or 3 without her. And I'm like, it's got to be Member Stokel. But she does so much for us, and such a good, we don't even know how good we have it, because there's an awful lot of councils I have determined, I've learned a lot in a short time, that really don't have any connection to Tallahassee. And not that the connection to Tallahassee is nearly maybe necessarily the most important thing that we do, but we can't get a total understanding of what we're doing until we have that full circle connection. And you have provided that for us very well from the very beginning. And so I just want to thank you for that and congratulate you. That was I mean, there might have been 5 people up there out of the whole room. And I mean, that was 200 people there. So congratulations for that. I also want to talk about our great fireworks on 4th of July. City manager and all those involved in picking whoever does this was outstanding. It was a great fireworks. I heard nothing but great things. And I heard nothing but great things about, the only thing that wasn't great was it was hot. Until that sun went down, it was hot. It was something. So that being said, it was an outstanding fireworks. I would say certainly, and city manager can comment on this a little bit more, the park was packed. I was with the police and rode around in the gator and saw that there's nowhere where there wasn't people. And so then, about halfway through, maybe a little more, I do what I do. I got out early so I don't get stuck in the traffic. But when I went out, the US 1 was packed like a launch all the way to Garden Street. And I mean, so whatever we had in the park, and I think we estimated at least 5,000 people, at least.
We had 6,000 last year. We're probably closer to 8 this year.
There we go. And that's just in the park. So you take another 3,000 or 4,000 at least outside. We had over 10,000 people see those fireworks. It was great. You could hear the music. They're playing the patriotic music as the fireworks were going up. Just a really good time. And I will say, when I got to speak, and I said this to city manager afterwards, when I got to talk and give a little rah-rah talk about isn't it great to live in, being American, people cheered loud. Isn't it great to live in Florida? And people cheered loud. Isn't it great to live in Titusville? I'm always a little nervous about that one. That was the loudest cheer. I mean, I'm telling you, there are a lot of people out there that are happy to be in the city of Titusville, and that made me feel pretty good. So did a lot of, talking to people and driving around the gator and slapping 5 and trying not to run anybody over. But it was great. One last thing for me. I don't know that I need to do anything, and the city manager and city attorney can advise me on this. I met with a consulate, Israeli consulate, who's in Miami. The head consulate is the one who was here for the astronaut memorial. Yeah. Gil. And I developed a little relationship with him. Not going to say we're like best buds, but a relationship with him. But it was easy to do because they were so pleased that we moved our event from Saturday to Sunday to allow the Jewish Israelis to attend because they had lost an astronaut in the Columbia. I don't want to get it wrong. I think it was Moran, but I don't want to say that's the way who it was. I apologize for that. But so that was a nice start to a relationship. And so then I was contacted by the another Israeli consulate who I think is under Gil. And he came up to meet with me at City Hall, and he would like for us to consider being a sister city with a city in Israel. He has Fort Myers is one. I think he said Boca Raton, Winter Haven. He gave me a list of about 15. I think they want about 16 sister cities in Florida. Doesn't necessarily have to involve a whole lot of formalities, just the relationship. He and city manager and I discussed it and agreed there's certainly some cities there where they have space program work. And that would be one that we'd like to hook up with because I don't know who it will be or what it will be. I would just like to, I guess what I'm saying to council is, and a city attorney guide me on this, I'm not looking to even ask for approval for that. I'm just asking to be able to discuss with them and, go further. Because like I told him, I said, I can only speak for myself. As the mayor, I've got to go to the council and we've got to get approval to, move towards a sister city. But how am I doing so far, city attorney?
What is it exactly you'd like authorization to do at this stage?
Tell me again.
What is it that you exactly would like
At this point,
authorization to do it
I'm probably
this
just
stage.
letting city council know that I would like to be able to continue forward in discussion. I think that I'd like to come back. I could go ahead and say, get approval to become a sister city, but I'd like to know more before I even ask that.
Sure, if you're just going to engage in dialogue
Yeah.
and not commit the city to anything, that's fine. Then if you want to get a recommendation from council or a vote from council for us to move forward with a resolution or whatever is necessary to create a formal sister city relationship, then the council can certainly give us that direction.
Okay, with that, I think what I'd like to do is just see if anybody on council is concerned about that in any way. Certainly, we all know the state of Israel can have some controversy with certain people, and I just, it is what it is. I will say this, we, as we all know, were accused of having a sister city relationship with China, and we don't. And it's been since, I think you said 2004, it's been a long, long time. And that was a different time when that happened, so I'm not faulting anybody. But clearly, Israel is a serious ally with the United States, so it's not like that situation. But I still, because it's not benign, it's not, truthfully, it's not like it's France or England or something like that. It is Israel where a lot of things happen. So I would like to make sure that I'm on the right page with you guys. Member Nelson?
I think it'd be worth, I don't think you need our authorization, but I think at some point you're going to want to come back to us and say, this is really what it entails. This is what they need from us, what we need from them. These are the parameters, and,
I will say, because it could change, so
Yeah.
that's one reason I just wanted to get that out there now. But he said it can be whatever we want, and we can, it could be send a card, once a year. He says, and then if at any time you guys are like, we don't feel like being sister cities anymore, he said, well, you do that too. He was very open to however you want to do it. So that means it's not like you have to do this or do that. I would say with the relationship I feel like we have with them, and city manager was was out of town, so assistant city manager was in there, and he was very impressed with, there was absolutely no, well, you got to do this, you got to do that. He says, no, there's none of that. It's going to be whatever it is you want to do in this relationship.
so I would say explore it further and
And
see
find out
what you
more.
want
Sure.
to do, and then bring it back.
Vice Mayor?
I would probably say if it's in order, Psalms 122, and that's the answer to it. It said, pray for the children of Israel, and they that pray for them prosper. So that's kind of answer my answer
I'd
to the
say
question.
that's a yes. Member Stokel? All right, I appreciate that, and really and truly, I'm just, let's just pretend there's a person or two that was really not happy about that. I would probably say, okay, I'm good, I'm done. But it sounds like that, because I just didn't want to go forward even in discussion. So we won't become an official sister city in any way, shape, or form until I know more and we bring it back to council. So that was, I guess, pretty much just informational. All right, thank you. Well, let's start down here with Member Cole.
I just want to piggyback a minute on what the mayor said about the fireworks display. And
That's right.
I was going to talk about the police department, and I was so proud for them to be a part of Titusville in watching their interaction with the people as they came in. I asked every one of them, I said, you guys in public relations? And they said, yeah, that's what we do. And not only that, but you said you were going to leave early so you could get out. I didn't leave early, and I could get out because they had traffic control down to a T. And I sent a text message to Chief Lau and to the city manager commending them on what I thought was a job well done, because there were a lot of people out there.
There were a lot of people out there.
Okay, the second thing I would like is I'd like to get on the agenda for September for our North Boulevard Rotary. It's an informational briefing on the park that we're doing at Sandpoint Park, the all-inclusive park. We have a grant for $300,000, And hopefully, we'll be able to award that contract sometime in the October, November timeframe. So we have all the plans and stuff, and someone will come in and give a presentation. So whenever it's appropriate.
So that would be the second meeting in September.
Second meeting in
Yes,
September
sir.
would be great. So if we could get that on the schedule, I'll make sure I get
Is
someone
that that
to.
all-inclusive park?
Yes, it
Okay,
is.
yeah.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, we'll have to have council to approve that.
Yeah, really hot.
agenda.
I have to make a motion? Okay, I would like to make a motion that the North Brevard Rotary give a presentation on the all-inclusive park at our the second week of September meeting. Second meeting in September.
We have any cards?
Yes.
Stan,
Stan
I knew you were
Johnston.
looking over your shoulder for a reason.
Yes.
A card?
Do it.
Thank you, Stan.
Thank you.
All right, okay.
I got a motion. You made the motion?
I made the
Well,
motion.
that's rare.
Thank you,
Man.
Mr. Mayor.
Motion by Member Cole, second by Member Nelson. All in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Good?
Thank you.
All right, thank you. I like that very much. And, yeah, I would testify to the police. I mean, I'll be honest with you, the other thing I see, and like I said, I got to go around in the Gator with some guys, and hell, the police know most everybody anyway. I mean, you know, you guys, some of us from schools, some of us from just being out in the community. Well, they're doing a lot. I mean, they know you guys, and that says a lot about you. I appreciate that.
So I'm going to say two things. The kids from the Boys and Girls Club got invited to Typhoon Lagoon and for the biggest swim lesson. So Disney took 650 kids from the Boys and Girls Club.
Wow.
And invited them to Disney.
Disney needs to get that out there. That would not
Yeah.
hurt them right now.
It was on the news.
I didn't see it. I'm sorry. I'm glad you said that.
Two of our Rotary members were there.
Oh.
And so I was looking for them. Or some of the kids.
I'm going to pass that on. That's
Yeah.
big for Disney. 'Cause they-
Yeah. And the second thing is I went with Laura Lee Thompson. Yesterday we went down to the St. John's Water Management District. I don't know what you want to call it. They were doing a presentation about what was going on with the lagoon, some of the funding. One of the things I learned that I thought was really interesting is they might be willing to provide grants for cure-in-place pipes, which would help us. Of course, we always want money, and it would give us the ability to do more pipes. And the second thing was remember the lady from the zoo,
Yes,
Olivia?
Yes.
I saw her
Yes.
down there. And so I was asking her about the seagrass. And she said, Mosquito Lagoon is a Hollover Canal. They got seagrass all over the place. Behind Parish, where they planted it, is starting to grow like crazy. They're looking at planting more seagrass up here. And there's another area that's on the south end. And she said that's growing like crazy. So we might have seagrass.
Man, oh man.
Yeah,
That sure will help our manatees.
yeah. So I thought that was cool.
Thank you. Very nice. Appreciate that. Vice Mayor?
Oh, I didn't, the rescheduling of the Juneteenth was this past Saturday, and I was there.
I was. Apparently I missed you.
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah.
He's always early and I'm late.
Or vice versa. Vice versa.
I said, you just missed
I
Vice
think
Mayor.
you and I had another one back in June over at the
That's
church.
right. That's right.
You were early and I was late. Yeah, so we
It
were
was a very
doing
nice
that.
event.
Yeah, doing that, and that was nice. And I spoke at the Boys and Girls Club on yesterday.
Aw.
You know, trying to give what little wisdom that I have to the children. That was it for me.
Yes, ma'am.
Stop. No, I just forwarded to city manager an email asking him to forward it to you all that I think I received today, actually. So next year, we will have to do the Form 6 instead of Form 1. So that did unfortunately pass. So the Florida League they have a webinar that's out. There also will be a workshop at the annual conference if anybody is going to that next month in Orlando. So just be prepared for that. It is a little bit more than what we're used to.
A little bit.
Yeah, I know. And then there are committee signups if anybody is interested in getting more involved in Tallahassee stuff. So there's the advocacy committee, which focuses on all of the issues. They kind of give you rundown and briefings on what is happening. And then there are the individual 5 policy committees where they only allow one per, like, because of Sunshine Law. So we couldn't all be on the same one, but there are 5 separate ones. So if anybody was interested in that, those signups are going on right now. They have finance, land use. That's the one I signed up for this time, just because of everything that's happening with land use right now. Municipal administration, transportation, and utilities. And then, other than that, the conference is next month in Orlando, which I will be attending, and that is it.
Perfect.
Is that the legislative conference?
That's how she's going to win that award. Yeah, she's going to win that award because that's really true. You got to be involved in that stuff. I do want to say that seemed like it was last Thursday, I did a police ride along with Lieutenant Waring. And then this Friday, I'm going to do another police ride along. Didn't get enough action on Thursday. I'm going to try Friday. So Friday, I'm going with Lieutenant Jordan, Joyner Telly. Is he a lieutenant? I don't even know. He's my football player, wide receiver. So I'm going out with Telly on Friday. My wife says, why are you going to go Friday? I said, because Thursday wasn't good enough. So we're going to get out there and go. So anyway, City Manager.
Yes, sir. Just a few informational items, mostly on the budget workshop, which begins on 17 August. We'll have the budget for you at the end of July in hard copy, so we can begin that process. And just, Council, I know you got to witness my continual beratement by one of our citizens of me and my staff. I just want to remind City Council that I'm a proud military veteran. I'm a retired Army colonel. I'm a combat decorated Army aviator. I'm proud of my service to my country. I'm proud of my service to this city, and I won't accept the continual beratement of me and my staff.
Do it.
So I'm sorry that he's wasting your time.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I need one more second.
Go ahead.
I want to get on the agenda for the Police Hall of Fame to give a presentation to us in August, at our August presentation meeting. So I'll make a motion for the Police Hall of Fame to be put on the agenda for our August presentation meeting.
That's kind of up to you. I don't know if that works.
It's the same thing. You have to approve a presentation to add to the agenda.
So I need a second.
And we have a card.
We have a card on that?
Oh, he has it just in case anybody votes on anything. He'll pass. He'll say yes.
Okay.
He'll come up and say it.
Yeah, I want to say is I want to approve of this urgent, but also I want y'all to understand is that I have not received one correction from anyone regarding my witness and so forth of Mr. What he calls debasement and so forth.
Okay, we're good.
No corrections at all.
Thank you.
From him or anybody.
May I?
Go ahead.
And I have openly stated it before, Colonel. I'm proud of you too. Thank you for your service.
I think we all.
Yeah, character assassinations just aren't productive.
Yep. I
Very
know.
nice.
Neither is dishonesty.
So we'll go from there. You're not at the podium. All right, so, yeah. Motion. All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Opposed?
What did we
Thank you.
just do?
We just put a Police Hall of Fame on the presentations.
Oh, yes.
There we go.
Thank you.
All right. With that said, 10:10, we want to wait till 10:30?
No. Let's wait.
Meeting adjourned.